Welcome to Tales from SYL Ranch, where everyone is entitled to my opinion. And I'm Bill Stone. Well, we have another day of it. Not surprisingly, it all sort of went to hell last night. Probably go to hell some more today. But we have already some instances that are places that are starting to go to hell. Like, let's see. We know for a certain, I'm listening to it right now, and I'll be putting up the video here shortly, that there is a riot in progress in Philadelphia. They have property damaged. I have been listening to this. They have started things on fire. They have attempted to rob a bank. They have attempted to torch all sorts of things. Hi, Zombie. Hi, Larry. Glad to see you. They have been torching stuff. They have been being just generally mean and nasty and ugly and horrible and all kinds of evil things. Yes, that is right, Larry. I decided to use my Daily Planet background today, so it seemed sort of fit. Now, just so everyone knows, I do not, for a nanosecond, pretend to be a journalist. What I am, however, is somebody who's sort of aggregating news. And I'm going to tell you the truth about this crap, because this has gone beyond the concept of peaceful protests. When your press tells you that the protests are all peaceful, you can forget it. They are lying to you. And this is because nothing you see in the press is real. Nothing. And I say this because for 30 plus years I have made a rather masochistic hobby of debunking the press. And at this point, if you give me any article or news source from piece from any news source inside of 30 minutes, I can prove one of the three things. And it doesn't matter what the news article is, and it doesn't matter where you get it. I can prove one of three things. Either that the event being reported never happened, that the event being reported didn't happen as reported, or that when you strip a slick interface, unrelated filler, emotionally loaded language and opinion out of any given story, you find that the facts devolve to a couple of paragraphs at best. Larry seems orchestrated. No, I don't think so. I think we're looking at a number of different factors. I'll kind of talk about that as we go along. Anyway, we're seeing definitely civil unrest of decent sort, not decent, but of a terroristic sort. And also Cleveland is becoming an issue. I'm not listening to their frequency right now. I probably should be if I can. But people are throwing bottles and other things at the cops. The police and sheriffs are setting up to use pepper balls to control the crowds. So we know for sure we got something going on in Philadelphia. We know for sure we got something going on in Cleveland. But listening to the Philadelphia one longer than I have anything else. And guess what? I'm just going to put you that right up. Here is Philadelphia. We have a nice live stream from the, let's see, it's some station, I've forgotten which, a Philadelphia Philadelphia news station that has got a nice helicopter in the sky. They're only showing you part right now of this, of the actual terrorist activity. They're showing only part of it because they've got way more stuff going on the scanner than I can even think about right now. Just to let you know, since I do not pay the slightest bit of attention to the press, because everything you see in the press is nothing you see in the press is real, nothing. This is how I get my news. I use an application called Scanner Radio, and I suggest that everyone download this for your phone or your or you can listen also on broadcastify.com. It'll give you the same information, and this app, Scanner Radio, is really nice because it allows you to set thresholds for like local news, and it will let you listen to almost anything else. I get alerted whenever it goes above a certain, I've forgotten what the cutoff point is, but it's about 2,000 for non-local news. For local news, it's more like 200 because under that you're just dealing with normal traffic. So, sane people that you know, Larry says they are fine with the rioting. Yes, I'm losing old friends over it myself. But what do you say, man? This is terrorism, and I say that because the definition of terrorism is the use of violence and threats to intimidate or coerce especially for political purposes. And if that doesn't apply to the situation that we're seeing right now, as you can see it right above me, then I don't know what would apply to the situation. We are watching domestic terrorism in action. I don't, as Larry says, I do not believe that this is orchestrated. I think that what we're seeing here is a result of they don't have any reason to do it now because the murderer of George Floyd is in custody, charged with murder 3 and manslaughter. So this is all pointless, but you can see that they want to get out here and destroy things. They want to commit property damage. We have seen them in the past few days doing everything from looting, arson, robbery, armed robbery, assault with a deadly weapon, and attempted murder of innocents. Not police, and by the way, I don't think the police are the horrifying people that everybody thinks they are. They think they are. They think the police everywhere are horrible and they're sitting around, just itching to pull their trigger on a black man or kill a black man somehow, or a black person. That's crap. That is utter crap. There are certainly bad policemen. I will never say anything else. There are bad policemen. But these policemen are, in general, they're good people. I have worked with them various times. And if you say, frack the police and you want to have them all killed, which is what most of these crowds say, who's going to show up when your house is burglarized? Who's going to do that? You're stupid, and these two things are incompatible. You cannot hate the police and want them dead, and yet simultaneously rely on them to find out crimes that have been committed against you and to solve them. Now, as you can see, we've got a number of police vehicles on fire. I have also heard over the radio they are headed towards downtown in Philadelphia. Our city hall in Philadelphia, rather. They have also injured at least 2 officers who have been taken to the hospital. They've been throwing everything at them. That's normal. Setting fire to vehicles, that's pretty consistent with what we've been seeing on and on and on. So this is probably the beginning of a good 2 days worth of this insanity. Now, I will warn you in advance that unlike the time that I did 8 hours worth, I am not going to do that. At the longest, I will be doing 3 hours. And that's because I got arthritis in my lower back, and if I don't do things to take care of that, it becomes real problematic. So I will have some breaks in between here. You will see me from time to time. I will get up just so that I can stretch my legs or, go use the bathroom or something like that. In general, I'm going to try to be here for at least 2 to 3 hours, maybe take an hour off in between, and start some more, because this is not going to stop. This is just the beginning of what we're going to see this weekend. Weekends are going to always be like this. So, sane people want to abolish police. You mean the sane people that you know? I know some sane people who think they should abolish the police completely as well. I'm a political libertarian. I would prefer to see things like security and crime investigation and stuff like that be handled by the private sector, but that's not the world we live in. And in the world we live in, the police provide a very valuable job. The fact that we have one guy in Minneapolis who murdered a black person, and by the way, that murderer has been arrested. He's in custody. He is charged with third-degree murder and manslaughter, and if he is not convicted, just based on the video evidence, it would be probably a travesty of justice. So this is the beginning today. This is Cleveland or Philadelphia. I think you can, because of the large number of very prominently and well-known architecture in Philadelphia that has to do with the founding of the United States. In general, because you have people here who believe that the United States has been and is a horribly racist place since its beginning, I think you can say that there's some danger that they will destroy those buildings and landmarks. They hate the United States. The other thing that they can't stand is they believe that they have been wronged for hundreds of years. I have to tell you, again, always, you are not a slave. Your parents were not slaves. Your grandparents were not slaves. And there has been far, far more discrimination against African Americans than there are today. Look back to the late 60s. When I was born, it was not unusual for people to call someone who is African American the N-word. It was not unusual to call someone who was African American and male boy. That continued right up into the 1970s. We finally got rid of that crap when I was in grade school. I don't pretend to say that there is no racism anywhere in the United States. Obviously there is. However, I have to tell you that the amount of racism that we have is grossly overplayed by the press. The press is wanting Donald Trump to look bad, and so they will blame any kind of racist or Nazi or white supremacist thing against him. That is complete and utter nonsense. I'm not particularly a Trump supporter. I have lots of differences with his policies, but I am capable of looking at reality, and the reality is that your press are nothing more than propagandists when it comes to particularly President Trump. They will tar him in a horrible way every single time, whether he deserves it or not. I just try to look at whether he deserves it. Supercrew63 says there are bad people in every profession. Doctors, lawyers, mechanics, and even YouTubers, absolutely. But 99% are good. I would say more than 99%, in fact. If you ran 99% against the, 325 million people in the U.S., you'd still get a number that's way too large. You would still get a number that's too large. I live in Lincoln, Nebraska, a city of about 340,000, counting all of our suburbs. I've yet to meet a real racist in a long, long time. I don't, if you're in a place that has a lot of racism, please vote with your feet. Come to Nebraska, come to Iowa. Hell, go to Chicago. Those are places where I've lived, and I do not see any level of particular racism. So if you're in some weird pocket where everybody hates African Americans, vote with your feet and move. Let's see. Zombie says, did I hear the mayor of Minneapolis is pushing the narrative that the riots are caused by white supremacists? Yes, I've heard that nonsense. That's stupid. If there are white supremacists in those crowd, these thousands of people that are popping up all over the country now are not white supremacists. If they were, it would be easy to figure them out and get rid of them. Hell, if they're white supremacists, I say shoot them. But you can't fire into any of the crowds. You can't actually use any real force against them, because to do so would be to just start a powder keg that you wouldn't want to. Oh God, it would be worse than what we're seeing here. Much, much worse. Superguru63, most racism was gone until Obama took office, which oxymoronically became we elected a black person. Yes, a lot of people voted for Barack Obama because they thought, okay, all right, this is our chance. We do this, and it's finally going to be over. All of the blaming us for things that we had nothing whatsoever to do is going to be over. And it wasn't. He actually made it worse. He took any poster child from Black Lives Matter and made it his own, and some of those poster children for Black Lives Matter were not good poster children. I always like to tell the story of the hands up, don't shoot guy. Well, what actually happened was he put his hand through the window of the police officer's squad car, attempting to wrest away from him the police officer's gun. In the process, his hand was injured. He left, started to flee. Well, you have a suspect who has just fired and attempted to steal and fired a police officer's gun. As a police officer, what the hell can you do other than get out of your car, tell him to stop? Well, he did, and the forensic evidence of the trial was absolutely clear. That individual turned around and ran toward the police officer with malicious intent. Well, when that happens, you don't have any choice but to fire your sidearm, and that is exactly what happened. But that was a poster child for Black Lives Matters. In my opinion, Black Lives Matters is a terrorist organization, given what they have done and what they have caused. So we're seeing more terrorists in operation here. You can see they have now just defaced a private individual's car. As I said, they attempted to rob a bank a little bit earlier. They are headed off, last I heard, towards City Hall. But I don't know for sure exactly what's happening there because it's hard for me to talk to you and listen to the scanner at the same time. And I also should be listening to this one over in Cleveland. Let me see if I can find a video for Cleveland to do up. Let's see. Larry says, some say the rioting is way overdue. Yes, I have friends that say that. And I have lost at least one today over that very specifically. I said, okay, so that means you're in favor of people doing all kinds of horrible things to total innocence, right? That's what it means. And he got pissed off, defriended me, and it's unfortunate, a friend of 25 to 30 years, but we can't see eye to eye on this. And if he is going to do that, that's his choice. Fortunately, I have a lot of other people, friends, that agree that this is a complete insanity. But I am done mincing words. As of last night, I'm finished. This is not peaceful protests. When the press tells you it's peaceful protests, clearly they are lying. They will always call it peaceful protests because the press wants this. The press is totally behind it. The press is extraordinarily leftist and would love to see trashing and burning and hurting people. That's what they like to see. And there's just no getting around it. The press are scumbags, and nothing you see in the press is real. Nothing. So, yeah, this is what we've got going on in Philadelphia. Let me see if I can find you something from Cleveland that I can put up in front of me. And filter by live on YouTube. Demonstrators gathering, and this is KY. Okay, this is we'll just put this out here. They're taking a break. Well, up yours. I'll have to sit with this one and see if maybe it doesn't come back. Okay, it's a live break. That's a tower power cam. Okay, this is going to be the one to watch. I will pull this up here and to see if we can't. Let me do something. See if I can make this a little easier on myself with YouTube. Let me see. This is going to be Cleveland. So I will add an element for Cleveland, window capture, Cleveland, Ohio. And yay, it took the right image, and I know how I'm going to make this much, much easier on myself when I'm doing video for YouTube. They are currently taking a break in Cleveland. They're going to be right back. However, the stream is live. So I assume that means that they're going to use the same stream to when they get back later. So the stream's still running live. So I think, unlike me, they don't stop the stream. They just sit on it and then go back to it when they seem to be okay. So, but I have just figured out how to make my life much easier when I have to deal with these streams. Let me see if I can make sure I have the right element. I will pop you up so that you do not have to see that stuff. Let's see. Zombie says, I deleted Facebook when this started. I don't even want to know what friends think. Yeah, you're probably lucky. I can't delete Facebook. I have tried leaving. But the problem is that when you have a YouTube channel or something like this, you absolutely have to have both Facebook and a Twitter for marketing reasons. There's just no way to get around it. So I have those for those purposes, and really that's about all. Apparently last night someone stole an armored vehicle. Oh, wonderful. Hal, I'd love to hear about where that happened if I can get a confirmation. Larry says, I would trust Lois Lane's reporting. Yeah, well, anybody from a great metropolitan newspaper who actually knows what things are going on would and is truthful would do that. But the press is extraordinarily leftist. They hate the United States. It is obvious from their reporting. And they are enjoying seeing all of this. I am dead certain of that. They are not, as a general rule, very good people. They enjoy what they're seeing here. So there really isn't any good journalists out there. There really aren't. I have opinions. Don't think for a moment that I don't have opinions. I have opinions, and I will tell you when I have them. And I will tell you my biases outright. I am a political libertarian. Things tend to lean that way for me. But you know, I'm just going to tell you, I am not a reporter. I am at best right now a news aggregator who is talking about what I can find and what I can see. Supercruise63 says, my friend gave me the argument that the riot is not the riot is the effect, not the cause. Without justice, there will never be any peace, even after I told him he was arrested. Yeah, well, their definition of justice, I think, is to completely tear down everything that we have and replace it with something else. I don't think they know what they want. It's a classic example of a wonderful speech. Let me see if I can find it, because I'll tell you exactly what it's said and how it applies. It is a brilliant speech written for the TV series Doctor Who, when there was a pair of... let me see if I can find the speech. When there were a pair... It was about to go to war over a number of things. Let me see if I can get this up here. Okay, here we go. This is what we've got. This is what I think about this whole thing. Here is what the doctor had to say. You just want cruelty to beget cruelty. You're not superior to people who were cruel to you. You're just a whole bunch of new cruel people. And a whole bunch of new cruel people being cruel to some other people who end up being cruel to you. The only way anyone can live in peace is if they're prepared to forgive. Why don't you break the cycle? Another character says, why should we? And the doctor says, what is it that you actually want? And another person says, war. And the doctor says, ah. And when this war is over, when, you've got your homeland free from humans, what do you think it's going to be like? Do you know? Have you thought about it? Have you given it any consideration? Because you're very close to what you want. So what's it going to be like? Paint me a picture. Are you going to live in houses? Do you want people to go to work? What'll be holidays? Will there be music? Do you think people will be allowed to play violins? Who will make the violins? Well, you don't really know, do you? Because just like every other tantruming child in history, you don't actually know what you want. So let me ask you a question about this brave new world of yours. When you've killed all the bad guys and it's perfectly just and safe, when you have finally got it exactly the way you want it, what are you going to do with the people like you? The troublemakers. How are you going to protect your glorious revolution from the next one? And later on he says, because of the consequences, says, scale model of war. This is a scale model of war. Every war ever fought right now here in front of you, because it's always the same. When you fire that first shot, no matter how right you feel, you have no idea who's going to die. You don't know whose children are going to scream and burn, how many hearts will be broken, how many lives will be shattered, how much blood will be spilled, until everybody does what they were always going to have to do from the very beginning. Sit down and talk. So that is, to me, the biggest and most useful thing that anyone could ever say about this crap. So we got our Cleveland feedback. I will mute it because you don't need to hear that. But they don't know what they want. If you ask them, they wouldn't know what they want. Justice? Well, what the hell does that mean from any, give me an example. What the hell do you mean by justice? I mean, this is not about this one guy. If it was, they'd all said, good, justice is working. He is going to be, tried and almost certainly convicted. We don't need to do this anymore. Oh, good. Now the guys in Philadelphia are, in fact, in front of some of the more famous buildings right from U.S. history. And as they say in general, they tend to detest and hate the United States as being somehow racist for all of its existence, racist when it was starting out, without understanding any level of the history behind it, and how racism was frankly the last thing on their minds. But they had to make some, Fox 29's just ended. Okay, let's see if I can find you another one. Let me get rid of the Fox 29 chroma key. It'll be available. Okay, so let me get rid of Fox 29's chroma key, or Fox 29's thing. Remove. Yes. And then we'll see if we can't can close you out now. And I'll see if I can't find you another video that is coming to us from Cleveland, Ohio. Or not from that, from Philadelphia, because it worries me when they get close to buildings like that. Philadelphia. And we will filter you on live. Coverage is Philadelphia Live. Who is this from? Okay, I can't tell, but what the hell? Let's take a look at it. Oh, he's doing this with the actual scanner on. All right, let's pop this sucker out so I can put it into you. We'll do another. I got to make you. We will do. Oh, I want that live. Kill the volume. And then make a card, or make an element, window capture, Philadelphia. And we will add that. It got the right window, yay. And you're on top of him now. So we will do a little jiggery pokery and get this over here so that it's easy for my audience to see. And I may alter the resolution. I'm trying not to, but I might. Yeah, but anybody gives you an argument the riot is the effect, not the cause, tell them this. Okay, I volunteer you to go down in there and see if you don't get yourself hurt, because a lot of people are. Or go down there and volunteer and say, I live at this address. Go down there with your address and see how long it takes for someone to come and torch where you live. These are not good people. They are terrorists. Even the ones with the best of intentions are still engaging in what we can see up here in Philadelphia. It is horrifying, and we're going to see more of this as the day goes on. I have to, from time to time, check what I'm doing here. I have some notifications, but that's about all. Okay. So again, we are doing some coverage of places around the country that I know are hotspots. By virtue of having been alerted by Scanner Radio, one of my favorite apps available for Android and iOS that lets you listen to just about any first responder. Well, we got Salt Lake City, but that doesn't necessarily look like it's associated with this. Oh, God. Dauphin County, Pennsylvania. I don't know what Dauphin County covers. Let me put that. D-I-U-P-H-I-N County. This may be just more of our guys up here in Philadelphia, but we will find out because I need to know where that is. It's Dauphin County, Philadelphia. It is Pennsylvania's state capital. Dauphin County. I don't need that. I need maps. Let's see. Larry says, why do they give rioters free rein to destroy? Police or National Guard doing their job. The problem right now is if they fire a shot, it will be much, much worse than it is right now. Fire a shot into these crowds or one of these crowds, and not only will they go nuts, but social media will have it in 5 minutes, and everybody in the universe is going to come out and do the exact same thing. Beyond that, in places, they don't have enough National Guard. I mean, this one here in Philadelphia is not showing the full crowd. I wish they would, either go up or pull back so that you could see the entire crowd. Fortunately, the one over here in Cleveland seems to be so far peaceful. Glad about that. We like peaceful protests. Be peaceful, and we're all cool. It's like what you do up here in Philadelphia that becomes problematic. And as I say, I am very worried about, historical landmarks because they generally feel the United States is and has always been racist. Yes, Super Cruise 63, definitely good news that Americans has sent Americans back to space on an American my spacecraft. Absolutely. I was busy watching that, just being happy and watching this, and then my friggin' scanner went off, and I knew it was time that I was going to have to come back in and do some kind of video. Water cannons and microwave guns. Yeah, they don't have enough microwave guns. There aren't enough of those in existence. They tend to belong to the military, and they don't have a lot of them. There really isn't enough of them to do that. Water cannons would probably work. But again, then you're going to get into this thing where the press, who loves this stuff, who wants to see wanton destruction and chaos, they will go nuts and to say that the peaceful protesters were, had water cannons fired on them. I am frankly amazed that we are seeing anything here with respect to Philadelphia. Let me look here, because I've got multiple. I'm surprised I shut down one and it still works. Let me see here. Dauphin County is... Let me pull myself out here. Oh, Dauphin County. County, PA. Where is that with respect to Philadelphia? Okay. Where's my little... Oh, that's... the area's bounded by it. All right. Okay, it seems to be a good... let's look at here. 50 to 60 miles outside of Philadelphia. Let's see if we can get a video of that. How about what's my other chat? Oh, well, right now I don't have another chat. What I'm doing is I'm just going down and looking at my primary web browser windows so that I can search things and find out stuff about where I'm going at. Dude Horn says only if Randy Quaid is flying it. Yeah, that'd be fun. I'm back. How about? But the computer loaded with pepper spray. They don't need that. They've already got stuff. In fact, they've already deployed some gas and tear gas stuff in there in Philadelphia. Let's see. Super Crew 63 says only for riot control, not for peaceful protests. Yeah, but again, if you used any of that, if you got too much. If you go too far with this, the press is going to push their narrative that this is just peaceful protesters and the evil police and other people are intentionally trying to kill them or something. The press almost never report accurate. See, here, perfect example. Look at the top left. Here's a reporter from a regular news station, and just now they told her that there is a fire in progress behind her. I'm almost curious to hear what this moron has to say. Let me turn the volume up on her. She is just standing there doing nothing right now. Hey, guess what, hon? You have dead air on your NBC station. You're totally dead air. I don't think she knows that she's on. Yes, you are live. Zombie says, by any show of force will be taken as brutality by Black Lives Matter. The news, meanwhile, burning down cities is a reasonable amount of force. Well, that's what they want to do. They want to destroy everything. That is exactly what they want to do. And God, you have Channel 3. Get in her earpiece and tell her you have dead air. She's just standing there as though she doesn't know she's on camera. Somebody needs to tell her. Oh, I just love that sort of thing. All right, let me see if I can find you something about Dauphin County and where the major city is here. That would be let's see, Capitol Building. Wait, that's... Capitol area, Capitol Drive, Capitol. All right, let's just try Harrisburg, Pennsylvania State Capitol Complex. Let's go there. That's when protesters began throwing water bottles and other objects, and we heard loud noises, police firing pepper spray. Why do I not have a nice dot showing me where it is? We just heard some more pepper spray a few moments ago. Let me back out. Cruisers that were set on fire. Here's what some protesters had to tell me. Let's try PA Capitol building. That'll give me some chance of finding out. Yeah, okay, there's the Pennsylvania Capitol building. So what town the hell are you in? Harrisburg. All right, let's see if I can find some coverage of Harrisburg. Harrisburg, PA. I've actually been to Harrisburg and to Philadelphia, Bald Eagle's Nest, Paradise, Elkhart. There is no currently live video. Let's see. Let's see. How crazy will it be tonight? They're already burning stuff in about 5 cities. Yes, it'll be pretty crazy, unfortunately. As I say, here I found out the last 48 hours. I can only do 2 to 3 hours and take breaks in between to go to the bathroom and stretch. What'll happen with me is I'm going to do 2 to 3 hours, and then I'll drop for an hour and I'll come back. But let's see. Typical millennial playing with her phone. Well, she does now know that she was on the air. Apparently her producer said into her ear, hey, we got dead air here. Do some stuff that's just... This is funny because they've got it so messed up here, right? I'm watching her. Channel 3 in Philadelphia. Wait, oh, she's... Okay, what you just saw was somebody in her ear telling her, okay, you're clear. And she just went, okay, and wandered off. She didn't know she was on the air for a long time. She was waiting for somebody to tell her. Then when she was on, she said something for about 5 minutes. And then they gave her the clear. And actually, in point of fact, what they should have done was gone away from her, was, I don't know, panned the camera a bit, 6 inches to the left, and that would have solved it. Oh man, I love you guys. I'm no professional. I'm doing this all on my own, but love to see you idiots when you screw up like that. Lazy Gamer says Philadelphia is out of control right now. Yeah, the one above me is Philadelphia from the air. I wish they would pull back because there are a lot more people than what you're seeing here. The last time I looked, I would have to judge, and again, it's just a complete guess. I am not good at estimating by moving pictures of people. I would have to guess that there was a couple of thousand people. Those ones in Philadelphia worry me because they hate the United States. They believe that the United States has been racist and horrible from the beginning. And so they will probably have absolutely no qualms about destroying very important historical landmarks of the United States. Doo-Doo Horn says, that's the scary thing, Lazy Gamer. How do people protect themselves or others? I suggest the venerable Colt Model 1911 pistol for personal protection, chambered in 45 automatic Colt pistol rounds. I have one of these myself. It's made by Kimber. They make really good Model 1911 knockoffs. Keep it on your person at all times, and if you have to protect yourself, do. Just hope that you never have to do it. Let's see. Zombie says, if normal people show up to stop it, then war might break out. Yeah, absolutely. It's crazy. It's just crazy, and it's hard to decide what to do. Even if a private citizen did it, I don't know. In point of fact, in Minneapolis, the first night of terrorist activity, there was a pawn shop owner who was attempting to protect his business and shot one of the terrorists and was arrested. I don't know what would work necessarily. Were it me, I might be there with my Kimber. What I have is actually the model is a Kimber Custom Classic. It is a wonderful Model 1911 pistol that is well accurized. It's very accurate. Shooting over my head in front of my place of business, like the Korean shop owner did rather famously during the Rodney King riots. I don't know for sure if that would be useful here because there's so many of them, but it might scare them off. I don't know. But I don't dare think that you actually shoot them. If you actually shoot them, you'll probably you'll face prosecution. They arrested him. But beyond that, you have to be very damn careful. This is just a big powder keg waiting to go off. Let's see. Miami looks scary if it goes violent. I haven't. Is there video that you know about that I can take a look at? If you get attached to a group that big, there isn't anything you can do. For the most part, yes. We stand by and let them destroy. We stand by in the presence of evil and do nothing. Yeah. Well, as usual, the police are just now. We're seeing some rioting starting here over in Philadelphia and throwing things. I can't tell what it is that they're. That looks a lot like a private residence. I sure hope it isn't. Because they have no qualms. Oh, it's not a private residence. They've got people up on the roof. The terrorists have gotten up on the roof. I don't know what that building is. I sure hope that it's not, given where it is in the size, I suspect it may be one of our many historical landmark buildings. But I expect to see some of those historical landmark buildings burned before we're done here. Lazy Gamer says, I don't see any good solution to this. If the military attacks, it will be spun globally as America killing its own civilians, and that won't end well. If the military attacks anywhere, it's going to spiral out of control. Quote Fred Thompson from the movie The Hunt for Red October, this business is getting out of hand. It's getting out of hand, and we will be lucky to live through it. I don't know what you do about it. I just don't know what you do about it. They will not be satisfied with the officer who did the killing in custody and being charged, and will eventually have a trial where he will almost certainly be convicted. They are not happy with that. So I don't know. I don't know what you do. They don't know what they want, as I just read from that Doctor Who speech. They don't know what they want. What's it going to look like when they have everything, when they've killed everybody and they've got everything looking perfect and exactly what they want? What does it look like? What is the goal? What are you trying to do? They don't know. They haven't the slightest clue. Let's see. Lazy Gamer, yeah, do nothing. That's not something we can do either. Lazy Gamer says, I don't see this ending without military intervention. You may be right. You may very well be right. And President Trump has, in fact, threatened to do just that. Boy, I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know what you do. I don't know what you do. If I was president, this would be one of those really, really difficult decisions to make. It may be that the only thing that you can do is take multiple National Guards in multiple states, federalize them, and then have them go shoot people. You would not want it to be a National Guard. This is just speculation from my part. You would not want it to be a National Guard from, like, if it's Minnesota, you don't want to, if you're going to federalize them, you don't want that National Guard to be doing anything in Minneapolis, because those National Guardsmen may know people in those crowds, and they may be reticent to fire on them. Get something from, South Dakota, Iowa, a neighboring state, and have them come up and do the shooting, because they probably won't know anybody and won't have any qualms about doing it. Let me see. Lazy Gamer says they will take over the world and then starve to death. Yes. They don't even know how food is manufactured for the most part. People in large cities tend to astonish me sometimes with their ignorance. We've got this helicopter pointing its stuff down so we can get an idea of how many people are around there. They're certainly blocking traffic in a lot of places. You can see that there's traffic along those roadways that's blocked. I do like overhead views like this because it becomes very difficult. They have to try hard to move away and not show you the carnage that's going on, because there's usually so many people and large groups that the carnage is evident. Fortunately, it looks like Cleveland over here on the left is relatively peaceful. They did deploy some kind of smoke bomb over there a little bit ago. I suspect they're getting close to something they don't want them getting close to, so maybe it's City Hall. I don't know Cleveland well enough to know. Oh, God, that reminds me. Another personal thing that I'm not going to talk about, but maybe it'll have an impact on someone in my family. So yeah, they don't know what they want. They don't know what their brave new world is going to look like. I don't know what they want. They don't. If you ask them, they wouldn't know what they want. Justice, justice. Okay, but what does that look like? You tell me what your version of justice looks like. They don't know. They don't know. So we have no idea. We just have no idea what's going to go down and how to stop it. Let me take a look at my top 50 scanners. Okay, Indianapolis has problems. Let me see if I can find an Indianapolis one. Their scanner has moved to an encrypted channel due to all the unrest. So let's try Indianapolis. Metro, let's see, Indianapolis, Indiana. See if we can get you some footage from there. And we will filter you on live. Let's see, this is from ATJ, Horizon Broadband, Live B. Okay, well this looks like the only thing we've got. Let me have a look at you. It is live. Somebody on the ground, although I dislike everything they've done with this. Alright, let me pop this out so I can make sure I get the right window. This would be Indianapolis, so let's create a... What, do we shut down over on Philadelphia? Yeah, we shut down in Philadelphia. All right, I'm going to have to find another Philadelphia stream, so let me remove that. No, not rename, remove. Yes. We can close you, and I will try to find another Philadelphia stream. Now I'm looking at Indianapolis. Need to create an element for that, for a window capture. Let me make sure it captures the right window. All right, window capture. Indianapolis, and there we have the right one. So let's see, I will move this stuff around, and I don't like the fact that there's this huge amount of black space on the edge of it, but it's what we got. Okay, let me see if we can find something about Philadelphia. Let's see, where am I back over? Ninja, that's all I'm going to go. The globe must weigh as much as a car. The globe behind me is from the New York News building, and that is where they shot for Superman in 1978. So I like having that up there if I'm going to do anything that remotely looks like news. Blazer 101 says, Trump bringing in martial law. I don't know. Maybe. Did he say he was doing that? And heaven forbid that you enforce the law. In some of the cities, they have been able to take the most violent protesters and take them into custody, but there are really too many of them. There are, in a lot of these cities, there are more terrorists than there are police, and they have to work hard just to maintain their positions. Lazy Gamer, you almost have to find individuals streaming from cell phones to really see anything. The media coverage is terrible. That's because the media likes this, and they will never ever show you anything that looks like violence. The one that did when we were in Philadelphia, they took that and eventually shut off the stream. So let me see if I can find more Philadelphia. So maybe we can get something useful happening here. Philadelphia, YouTube. See if we got another live stream. They keep coming and going. Philadelphia. Filter on live. Okay, what do you look like if I click you? You're not something I want to show. You've got your own chat all over the place. Here's one. All right, let's pull you out. All right. And we are live. We'll add an element for... Oh, this is somebody, hang on, I'm not going to do this one. This is somebody who's going around and showing things like scanner frequencies and stuff. So I need to find a different Philadelphia one. Let me try Facebook. They had a live Philadelphia one a little bit ago. Philadelphia. Videos, I think it was Fox 29. Yeah, ABC Action News has got some video for Philadelphia, so we'll see if we can do something with that. I will pull you out so we can grab this. I hate these ones that are coming from Facebook. God, why do you... Pulling you out makes me reload you. Okay. Let me mute you because I'm just hearing nothing but helicopter noises. And we will open up another one for Philadelphia. Okay, Philadelphia. There's our Philadelphia footage. Let me scroll you up so hopefully we can get rid of some of the excess crap. Yeah. Now, in order to make this work without all of the excess crap on the... because I think it'll just shrink the window. Philadelphia. Sorry, I'm going to have to move something here because I try to look at the screen. Is this the Philadelphia one? Yes, it is. Okay, so I'm going to move some things around here so that I can get Philadelphia in a way that isn't showing us all this junk that we don't need to see. So we'll start there, and I will alter this dimension just a little bit so that, yeah, that's where it is. Okay, so we now have Philadelphia on the upper left. We have Indianapolis on the lower left, and we have oh God, I'm trying to remember where all these places are now. WKYC, who are you? WKYC. Okay, so that's Cleveland. All right. The one directly above me is Cleveland. The one on the upper left is Philadelphia. The one on the lower is... I don't even know anymore. Indianapolis. Okay, Indianapolis, Cleveland. Okay, if I hover over it, I can see. Indianapolis, Cleveland, and Philadelphia is what we're seeing here. Move my stuff over so I can actually still see you and maybe do some stuff with my thing. Okay, let's see. Yeah, so Facebook has unbiased news? No, but it does have a nice overview. This is from a TV news, which I always hate because they tend to lie a lot. But they've burned down some kind of building. They can clear from the outside that they first looted it, and then they have started burning it down. And I can't tell how many people are in this particular place. You can sort of see on the far left they do have police who are sort of trying to move them away from this fire that they've just started. Philadelphia, as I said, worries me. Just because a lot of people, if not all of them in these crowds, think of the United States as horribly evil and terrible and rotten, and it should be torn down. And because we have a lot of very important historical landmarks in Philadelphia, I am worried, they might just go to tear down any number of things. Let me see what my scanner is saying here. Lazy Gamer says, I do think civilians would be better than military against this. The cops and military just help further their narrative. Neighbors stopping them would be seen differently. The press won't look like that. If there's any violence, they're just going to say, you fired on innocent people. You're a racist. You're awful and terrible and mean and rotten. All right. We have Philadelphia being big. Los Angeles. Officers are completely surrounded near Beverly and Fairfax. LAPD is now asking for backup code 3. That means you are authorized to go any speed that you want to as long as you got the sirens blaring. Police cruiser is now on fire and multiple vandalized, posting updates. Okay, let's see what we have for Los Angeles on YouTube. Let's see what happens here. Problem thing is, Lazy Gamer, there's just no way to do this, that the press will not excoriate you. There's just no way to do it. Okay, Cleveland, have you gone completely dark? What have you done? Did you finally get rid of your idiot anchor? What the hell happened? All right, Los Angeles. And we'll go to live. Come on, Beavis. Headlines, watch live. Okay. NBC LA is doing a... boy, oh boy, no wonder they look surrounded. Holy free-holies, I'm going to have to show you this. Los Angeles. Man, oh man, you're live. Add an element. I'm going to have to make some of these smaller. Window capture. Los Angeles. Capture the right window. And it's, let's see, we'll take you and sort of put you over here because we don't need to see all that darkness. Make it just slightly bigger to join up with the rest of them. All right, so yeah, they're taking a break over there on their coverage in downtown Cleveland. We have Indianapolis, which is growing. We have Los Angeles, which, as you can see, cars are on fire. A minute ago, they were reporting that the police was completely surrounded, and they were asking for any help whatsoever. And then down here, we have Philadelphia. And so I don't know how many people are in there. It's hard to tell unless you're doing a overview. Here in Los Angeles, we have a nice overview. Somebody's in a helicopter. I guess it's Channel 4 NBC in Los Angeles. Those are the only things that I find any good whatsoever with traditional news, is if they're doing something like this, because then I can just mute it. You can decide for yourself what is going on to some extent. I just mute the thing because all we're going to hear otherwise is quote-unquote reporters who are essentially free associating all day long, and they're not giving you any real news. Let's see. Rioters, Larry says no, that they can do anything. Yes, they can. Lazy Gamer says, I think the cops are surrounded and stranded. All of the cruisers have been had their tires slashed. Really, it's like 8 blocks of cop cars. Well, that would explain what we were seeing here in Los Angeles. No, is that LA? Yeah, Los Angeles, because we saw a long line of squad cars just stopped. And yeah, you may be right that their tires were slashed. That would explain it. Well, let's see if they get stupid and try to do something to this bus. It's always an interesting thing when we watch buses being overturned. Let me change a little about my geometry here of the application that I'm using to do this. We are, by the way, using... I'm going to take you and put you over here for a minute, where I can find you, because I don't want to put that taking a break. We'll be right back until they've actually got something on there. But Los Angeles, as you can see, it looks like the police are up here holding a line to some extent, trying to redivert people, or at least hold the line. I'm surprised that Channel 4 in Los Angeles is actually able to get any useful air coverage. They were right above a police helicopter that just went through. So this all turns into complete insanity very, very, very quickly. Get you out of there so we don't have to see you. Laser 101, the city's mayors are telling the National Guard to stand down. Really? Well, I know some of them have. The city mayors have. I'd have to know specific ones because, you know, you never know. Millions of dollars of police equipment. Yes, yes it is. And as you can see over here in Los Angeles, they have set a police vehicle on fire, and it's starting, obviously, this tree that's next to it on fire. This is insanity. This is the textbook definition of terrorism, which is why this stream is called terrorism. The textbook definition of terrorism is the use of violence and threats to intimidate or coerce, especially for political purposes. Sounds like we have terrorist activity in progress. Mayor can overrule governors or presidents. Well, the deal is there is separation here. The president, contrary to popular opinion and the way that they have allowed it to become over the last couple of hundred years, the president does not rule the country. He can do things like, excuse me, nationalize, federalize the National Guard, which is what happened during the Iraq War. They said, okay, National Guardsmen, we need to take you because we don't have enough bodies. They can do stuff like that, but they can't command a mayor or a state governor to do anything. That's why governors have had the flexibility to do what they need to do within their own states for that virus that I can't talk about without getting deranked or something. But who knows? With the title of this video, I might get deranked anyway. But they can't. They're not. It's not constitutional. The Constitution does not offer any authority to presidents to have that kind of power. Now, for National Guard, I believe, in most states, if not all, National Guard is under the control of the governor. So even if a mayor said, okay, go away, we don't want you, a governor could still say, are you nuts? Obviously you need them. So I don't know. But I know there are separation of powers here. The federal government, as originally created and as defined in the Constitution, has some very, 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 very limited powers. It can only do a certain very few things, and then in the 10th Amendment it says that it can't do anything beyond that. So, we've seen that degrade over time, and that's not a good thing to have happened. But, it's one of the things I don't dislike about Trump. Sorry, got another alert. It's Los Angeles. Okay, not surprisingly. Let's see. So Los Angeles is now number 3 on the broadcast. It's still... I'm going to see if we got something going on in Minneapolis, too. It isn't... They don't have anything up for it, but it's a number of things. Let's see. Why calling the National Guard if the mayors are not going to use them? Yeah, that's true too. They don't know what to do either. Yeah, nobody knows what to do about this. This is insanity. I think there's a number of things at play here. The first is that from particularly the Obama administration, black people were told, see, there we are in Los Angeles, right? Look at all the equipment there. They have some fire equipment to put these out. But none of these cars are moving. None of these squad cars are moving. So that suggests, as one of my viewers said, that they are in fact damaged. We can see that they've been, they're damaged. We can see that they've been graffitied. The front of this one has been torn up. Those aren't moving because they're vandalized. And we have fire department trying to put out this fire. Bad thing about a fire like that is, you idiots, if you're protesting, right? You set something on fire that's next to a fracking building, it gets hot. There are embers, and the building may have firewalls and things like that inside of it, but that does not mean that it won't catch on fire. And so you don't want to do this near a building. Not that it matters. We've seen them try to, and successfully in one instance, torch an individual's home, multiple individuals' homes. We have seen them torch apartment buildings in Minneapolis. It's terrible. Why have a National Guard? Well, a National Guard is very, very useful in certain emergencies. When I was living, just shortly after I moved out of the Sioux City metro area, there was a gigantic flood across the Missouri River. That happens about every 10 years. Gigantic flood. And they had to call in the National Guard. And they were very, very good because, man, I've never seen anything like it. I happened to be passing through there during the flood. And they had those giant, helicopters that are essentially for, cargo and troop and whatnot. They were flying in and out so that they could, put up some kind of sand in front of, the city in order to keep it from flooding completely. And the sand that they were bringing in, I don't know how large it was. I was looking at it from at least 100 yards away. My guess, I can't even guess. It was huge. They were gigantic. They were so big that when I saw someone standing on top of it, there was still room for at least 50 more people to stand on top of these things. So they're very, very good when it comes to things like that. And again, at the beginning of the Iraq War, before they got enough volunteers, they federalized them and sent them over to Iraq to work. They can do that. Let's see. Imam Mahdi7, you are Mahdi. Okay, I will call you Mahdi. I assume that's Mahdi. The Machia from Algeria. You people of USA must create free army. Don't know what you mean by free army. Our army is entirely made up of volunteers, and we can't pay them nothing. I don't know what you mean by a free army in this context. So again, watching things go down in this window here. We have Philadelphia. They're not showing a hell of a lot, which is unfortunate. They were showing some things on the ground that were awful. Here we have Indianapolis in this window here. Here we have Los Angeles, and I'm still waiting for downtown Cleveland to come back. Let me see. I can see if we can find something that is for Minneapolis. Minneapolis is currently on the scanner. Let me reset here. Philadelphia is number 1. Los Angeles is number 2. St. Paul is now number 3. Cleveland is 4. Again, to tell people about what I'm doing here, I get all of my, I pay no attention. For the people who've walked in first, I pay no attention to the traditional press because everything they say is a lie. Nothing that you see in the U.S. press is real. Nothing. Let me see if I can get these guys to come back. Everything has gone spinning on me. Isn't that wonderful? Including, looks like Cleveland's going to come back. What has happened to you? Have you died? Is there something going on? I know the stream is okay. Something has happened in Philadelphia. I may have to look for another stream. The web page is obviously good because we're seeing things happening in their chat and whatnot. That's coming. It's a feed coming off of. I can't tell what's happened here, but in any case, I'm going to see. Okay, looks like we got this stopped spinning. I may have to close out some windows. Okay, Beavis, I want you to be... Okay, did they stop being live? Close you out, for God's sake. I can't tell anything. Just spinning. Just spinning. All right, what can we do here to close out some windows that may be causing us some issues? We can close out the Google Maps issue. There we go. We should go back to live on you. And we'll go back to live on you. You're still waiting. Back to live. We're still getting a lot of spinning. I don't like that. Let me see if I'm still seeing chat coming up. Yeah, we're still seeing things happening here. Los Angeles. God, we just got spinning everywhere, and I'm sure it's on my end. If it wasn't. Okay, let me try something and see if it kills things. I will kill this YouTube window. Kill that one. It did not destroy my stream. Kill that one. It did not destroy the stream. Kill this one. Did not destroy the stream. Just kill that one. It did not destroy the stream. All right, so this may free up some bandwidth. We'll go live. Live for you too. Damn, I hate when this happens. Yeah, spam alert, whatever the hell that was, yes. The cop situation in LA looks really bad. Yes, I think it does. Looks like we're having some kind of press conference about the protests in Los Angeles, but it's sitting there and spinning on me. Let me see if I can cause it to... Otherwise, I'm going to have to go find the stream, and I killed it already, so... Okay, can we be live without the spinning? Gotta hate when this happens. Okay, can I alter your size? And maybe... we had it for a second, and we had it over a second there for a second. Not again. I'm sorry these are all spinning. I don't know why. I have no idea why. How long until weed dispensaries are looted? Well, that might have happened last night in Denver. I don't know. Denver had civil unrest last night as well. God, I'm sorry this is all just spinning on you and not being live. I don't know why. Let me see if I've got something going on with my bandwidth or windows I can close. Can't close that. Can't close that. Can't close... What's this? Oh, I can close you. It's not eating up bandwidth, but it's eating up CPU time. I really can't close any of my other windows. Those are having to do with my live stream, and one of them is this one over here. Well, this one at least is easy to reload. The others are not easy to reload. What I did with the others to make my life what I thought was going to be easier. Okay, so this is supposedly Philadelphia, but it's just sitting there not showing us anything. Do we have chat coming out of these guys? Well, what are the popular live videos? Ultimate Shootout, blah, blah, blah. I don't need that. Okay, it went. Are you live? You live, please? Live? Stop that. Well, I can't get rid of my chat down there for some reason. Sorry I'm having to take the time to do all this. All right, I'm going to have to look for different streams for all of these guys. All right, let me start with Los Angeles. YouTube. Come on, Beavis. Oh, wait, let me try one other thing. I wonder if I turned back on my BitTorrent server. That'll eat up some bandwidth. No, I did not. All right, YouTube, we're looking for Los Angeles. Well, we got something back because I'm hearing... I had it back momentarily because I was hearing a helicopter. Group protesting live. What are you looking like, ABC?
Hey, Bill. I'm having a party. Wanna come?
Well... God, KABC is now... spinning. Why are you guys spinning on me? Alright, I'm just gonna have to kill out all of these elements because they're just being mean and nasty and ugly and horrible and all kinds of evil things. So let me just kill out all of these elements, and I'll see if I can't find some different streams that aren't sitting there spinning on me. And then I'll close out my spinning windows. And taking a quick break, Windows. Go back to my, yes, I wish to remove Cleveland. Let me go back up to my main one here so you can see me a little better. And just talk for a second. Is the rescue for the LA cops on the way? The last I heard on the scanner frequency I was listening to was that they were calling for, they were surrounded and calling for anyone. Let's see. Oops, here's Los Angeles. LAPD are asking, officers say they're completely surrounded near Beverly and Fairfax. LAPD is now asking for backup. Code 3. A police cruiser on fire. We saw that one. So let me look at the ones that are currently the hottest ones. Philadelphia. Officers attacked. Live Fox 29 on Facebook, it says. Let me see if I can get that one back. Actually, you know what? I've got a Los Angeles one here that isn't spinning. Let me put the Los Angeles element in. Except it what? Why did you not let me pop you out? Because that's a pain in the ass. Okay, it's the wrong one. Sorry. So many things in so little time, and I'm going to have to do something I don't want, which is pop you out. I thought I was going to be able to make lives easier, but I can't. We're going to add this element in as Los Angeles. Oh, wait, I got to go down to my other card. Add this element in as, we'll just call it LA this time. Takes less typing. And there's the window. And then we'll do some jiggery pokery to maybe make it a little easier by making that into theater mode and crushing it down so we're not seeing all of this extraneous crap that you don't need to see. And then at the same time, slide this over so we're not getting black space all over the place. And then take my element and move it upwards so you don't have to see other stuff. All right, so this is Los Angeles. The mayor is giving out some kind of press conference saying, please, please, pretty please don't do anything to us, as opposed to stop doing things or you're going to get harmed. I am of so many two minds about this because I just know that if somebody got shot in one of these, it would balloon out of proportion and you could see things worse all over the country. By the same token, I don't know how you get rid of it. Fire hoses, maybe. But even then, there's so many people, you'd have to get the fire hoses in and then you'd have to worry about the safety of the firefighters. So they're not protesting anything. Let's see. Any protests happen without destruction? Yeah, there have been a few places. There was a protest last night at Omaha, Nebraska, which is about 50 miles from where I live, and it's a city of about 1 million people. There was a protest there last night that was peaceful. Like to see that. Doesn't say we Nebraskans, we can keep our heads. There have been other protests around. The one that looked like was happening in Cleveland wasn't horrifying. Let's see. You are Los Angeles. Let me see if I can find another Philadelphia stream. YouTube. Philadelphia. Back to my scanner. I have people. All right, and we'll filter on live for Philadelphia. Why am I getting Salt Lake City? All right, what do we got here? This is somebody else. This is somebody else. Who are you? Do I like what you look like? No, I do not. What about ABC in Philadelphia? Oh, that's Los Angeles again. Well, hell, let's see what they. Oh, no, I don't like that either. Okay, we have a citizen journalism feed that I'm confident about putting out there for Philadelphia. So let's see what we can do there. I will automatically go and make this stuff smaller before I build in the element. And we need to have you longer. No, you're not going to work longer. I hate this aspect ratio. Guys, if you're ever being a citizen journalist, please do your phone in landscape mode and not portrait mode because it sucks when you do that. What am I dealing with here again? Geez, Philadelphia. Okay. So we'll add a window capture for Philadelphia. I would just call it Philly so I don't have to kill myself. And there it is. We'll do an OK. I have already done what I can in terms of making this thing a little better. Let me see if maybe changing this geometry won't make it come out better without the live chat. Let me see if changing the geometry to the left or the right will help that thing get bigger. Little. I'll try some more. That's better. All right. Where's a good place to put this? I know where I'll put it. I will take Los Angeles, move you over here. Take you, because you idiot, you've put things into a aspect ratio I don't like. And then we'll take Los Angeles, put it over here, and put LA on top of Philly. So we can sort of attempt to deal with the fact that the idiot running this has got his phone in a portrait rather than the landscape mode, which is just a giant pain in the ass. Hey, Doo-Doo Horn, hey, and everybody else, how's it going? Starseed Player, hi. Let me go back up here and see some of my chats. Let's see. Lazy Gamer says, Smoke and Scan does a good job of keeping relative stream up. Yeah, I know. What I'm trying to do is basically avoid doing something else anybody else is doing. I could put something up here that will have lots of people in it, but I don't want to sort of dilute what I'm doing by virtue of having somebody else's face sitting in there. Let's see. What did W.C. Fields say about Philadelphia? I don't know. Anarchy is the goal, yes. The cops moving back around and the armored SWAT vehicles in L.A., they might be able to be starting to make move. Hopefully. Did you go away, kid? You bother me? I'm not sure who you're talking to. Hi, Starseed Player. Larry says, phone easier to hold in portrait mode. Yeah, I know it is. It's just a giant pain in the ass when you're trying to do something like this. Actually, let me do something with this geometry so you don't have to see that. Let's see. Welcome to the craziest thing ever. Here lies W.C. Fields. I would rather be living in Philadelphia. All right, let me go back and see what I can find some other stuff. I think we got, this is Los Angeles. This is Philadelphia. What's number 2? St. Paul. All right, we'll go to YouTube. And just for my viewers' information, Minneapolis and St. Paul are essentially a single city that are bisected by the Mississippi River. St. Paul. And filter by live. That's nationwide equipment. Doesn't look like it's current. Nah, I don't want to see you. St. Paul, Governor Tim Walz, Faith Lever, live protests. God, I'm just having a hard time finding anything here. Wish I knew what some of these other guys were doing. Well, what's beyond St. Paul? What's the next one? Cleveland. I lost Cleveland a while back. Those guys, Cleveland, looked like they were being pretty cool. Chicago. Hey. I lived there for 10 years. Let's see what Chicago's looking like. They have a really good track record of being violent. Cities. Okay, what does ABC News Lives have to say about this? This is still Los Angeles, KABC. Why do you come up when I do a search for Chicago? Chicago. You're live. And that's Jeff Peltier. I don't know why he's doing that. Well, I'm going to have to... That's a live Chicago downtown. Number 2, NBC2 live stream is going, but this is just informational text. ABC 7. We got commercials with ABC 7. SWFL. I don't even think that's anywhere near Chicago. All right. Well, I can't seem to find a Chicago stream. That was also WC Fields. Okay. Lazy Gamer, I got you. Check out Earth Cams. It does stuff like video traffic cams and security cams around the cities. I'll take a look at that. Floyd will be remembered for all the destruction. Well, in point of fact, his family has said that he would have been really saddened at what's going on in his name. That's really terrible. Larry says big cities can frack themselves. As someone who's a libertarian, I can tell you, it's a little difficult to explain. I will in a minute. How long have I been on? About an hour 23. Here's the problem with big cities when you get into like my area of the country. What you have to understand is that big cities, large cities, even small ones, the one I'm in for that matter, a city of 340,000, including all of our suburbs. When you get into cities of any kind, you get into what is specialization. I know IT. I kind of know how to do this stuff. I was once an actor, and so I have some background for this. But you're still getting into specialization. If I need to get something done with my car, I take it to the garage. If I need something done with my plumbing in my house, I call a plumber. Well, if you live out in the country, right, if you live on a cattle ranch like my grandparents did, and my uncles and cousins before they left, if you live out in a cattle ranch, you can't do that. It is impossible. It may not even be possible to get to a town because they don't have paved roads. They have gravel roads that are graded by the county from year to year, but they don't have paved ones. And so you have to do everything yourself. If there is anything whatsoever that needs to be done, plumbing, work on your heavy equipment, because they have to have that in order to do things. If you're going to do any of that work, if for that matter, my grandfather delivered one of my uncles because they didn't get to the hospital in town in time. They couldn't. If you have to deal with cattle, if you have to do veterinary work on the cattle, that's yours. If you have to euthanize cattle, which happen from time to time for various reasons, you got to do it. Great example was when both my grandfather and my grandmother, when they passed away. We have a family cemetery out in South Dakota. I have a plot there for myself. It's out in the middle of nowhere. It is really out in the middle of nowhere. And because of that, when we went out there to bury them, we had a second cousin who brought in his backhoe. And yes, people out there own backhoes and other heavy equipment because it's necessary. They have them for personal use. He brought out his backhoe, dug a grave, and then myself and 5 other guys in the family lowered my grandfather and grandmother's caskets into the ground. And then they covered it over again. And we had to do that because if we didn't, it would never get done. It's just that simple. Everything out there, you do it or it don't get done. So laws that apply to cities don't really apply well when you're in, I got another alert. That's Los Angeles. No, Chicago. I got to find a Chicago stream. I spent too many years there. I need to find a Chicago stream. But when you get into rural areas, the laws that you use in cities just don't apply anymore because they are expecting to deal with groups of people who are specialists in something, not individuals who have to be gigantic generalists about everything. They have to know so many different things in order to just live there. If they don't know those things, they will die out in the country. That is a reality. So when you get into large cities, they have an enormous effect on public policy, both within states and on the national level. And they are, particularly in New York City, they are extremely, extremely provincial. Usually provincial is applied to people like us who come from Nebraska, but no, in fact, New Yorkers are very provincial. They know nothing but their own area. They will never leave it for the most part, and they believe that the entire rest of the country is exactly the same. So they want laws on the federal level. Perfect example of this is Her Highness Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, that is Red Cortez, the communist. And she's the perfect example of somebody who has lived an extremely sheltered life and is extremely provincial. The laws that she wants to put in place at the federal level will destroy agriculture completely. So when you get into large cities, I don't want to see them burn. I don't want to see them go away. But I would like to see them educated to the point where they understand that this is not something they can do without adversely affecting a large industry. Let's see. I got to check out Earth Cams here. Didn't hear about Floyd's family responded. Yes, they had. They said that he would be heartbroken by this. They did. Frack is good. Yeah, I generally use, unless I'm getting really ticked off, I usually use fictional curse words. EarthCams is a website used for tourism to get live views of cities, but it has like downtown views. Let me look, but I do still want to look for a Chicago stream here, just because I spent 10 years there. It's someplace with which I'm familiar, so I can talk to you about it with some level of authority. This is KABC. That's a church. Chicago Police and Fire Scanner. If I wanted to put that up, I could. That's Bloomberg Quick Take. Chicago protests for George Floyd. What do you look like? Excuse me. Okay, you look okay. Add me a window here. Pull out Chicago. And I'll see if I can't fix the geometry for you in advance before I put the thing up. so that it's not quite so horrifying. What do we got there? More. Okay. And then we take you and slide you over this way. Pardon me while I just sort of free associate to myself about how I'm going to fix all of these things so you can see them. And we will take you and add a Chicago. There is Chicago. And I'm going to put you down below, I think. And I will alter the window geometry so that it is visible underneath other things. Okay, so just to, oh God, no, this citizen journalist has changed the aspect ratio. All right, let's see if I can alter things. We'll move you over here. No, they hadn't. Well, up yours. I'm seeing the aspect ratio change 2 or 3 times, so I'm gonna pull this over and I'm gonna put you actually on top of Chicago so we don't see your window geometry. All right. That aspect ratio has changed several times. Now this is Philadelphia. This actually is Los Angeles, but they're KABC, but they're actually showing you Miami, Florida, and Dallas, Texas. I assume that this is their one in Los Angeles. Their mayor is making some impassioned plea. Please don't destroy our city. Please don't destroy our city. Please don't destroy our city. Please don't kill our cops. Please, 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 please. And it's quite possible that with this batch, the please part of it is not going to work at all. They are, of course, domestic terrorists. Omaha's not a big city. Big cities are Birmingham. Yeah, Omaha's a city of about 1 million, and last night they had a protest that was entirely peaceful. I was very happy to see it like that. You're going to go get food, zombie, but you'll be back in a bit looking for tweets and info to share. Please do. It's really slow right now who you follow, but pick up later. Thank you very much. They have vandalized and destroyed the district attorney's house in Minneapolis. Well, let's see what we can find for a Minneapolis feed. YouTube. Minneapolis. As soon as the page finishes loading. Filter by live. Am I still getting this Bloomberg thing? Are you coronavirus? New York City. I can't see who you are. Okay, here's one. Waterwave TV is doing one that I can deal with. Okay. Waterwave TV, let's take you up. We will alter your window geometry so that my viewers aren't bothered by the chat and God knows what else. This guy, on the other hand, did you just go dark? Yes, he went dark. What other things do we have here? CNN Center, is that live? No, it's only a 15-minute one. Holding a rally in the ruins of the DA's house. Yeah, I just saw somebody who was from there. My problem is actually finding one. A live stream for this. What was that one that... Earth Cams. I'll take a look at that too. Just looking here. I'm not seeing anything terribly obvious on that. All right. Let's see if we can find us a Minneapolis feed. So, just to, since it just hit me, if they're looting, okay, what happened here? Did you disappear on me? Philadelphia? 4:30 to 9. Okay, this is somebody actually doing other things. A citizen journalist doing something. We're going to move you off of my screen until such time as he looks like he's doing something useful. Okay, all right, he's back doing something useful. And this is Philadelphia that we're seeing here. Going to move you over for window geometry's sake and put LA on the top. Okay. Over here, Chicago. Over here, Los Angeles, although KABC from Los Angeles is also showing Miami, Florida, and Dallas, Texas. And then over here, Philadelphia. Now, let me see if I can find a Minneapolis one that is live. It is actually showing this. Bloomberg Quick Take.
Because of social distancing and fewer workers.
They're doing nothing useful. Okay. Coronavirus update. Coverage of riots and protests. Oh, this is a guy who's... I'd really rather not. His feed doesn't look that great. No, that's... Well, this is one that I like because of the... Wow, it's going to look messy on my screen. Let me see what I can do here. I'm going to make you this size. Pop you out. Alter the window geometry. This is somebody doing something I wish I could do. I don't know where he's getting his feeds. Make sure you're live. Yeah, you're live. You telling where you're getting your feeds by any chance in your description? No. He's doing something that I wish I was able to do because he's found a number of good video feeds from around the country. So I'm going to put that in as a window. It's going to be more of a largish impression of what's going on because I can't dare fill up my entire window with it. It is spinning just a little bit, but I think that's probably on this streamer's side. So let me add, who are you? You are Kingsley. All right. Let me add a Kingsley element. There is him. That's a lot of stuff, so let me move around my other things. I'll slide you back over here. I dare not make you any smaller. I'm just moving things around now so that I can make room for this window that I would very much like to show because it's got a lot of different places on it. And I don't want to resize it any smaller because then you won't be able to see what it is. And even then I'm kind of having to do a little bit of, you can get a feel for what's happening here. Yeah, so your window geometry will let me put you about there. Okay, so I get Kingsley. I got 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, you're behind this guy. Chicago is currently behind this guy. And so we'll put you about there. Okay, so we got another streamer who's doing something I wish I could do because I can't figure out where they're getting all of their streams from. But over here, he's doing Dayton, Ohio, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Lancaster, Delaware, Dayton, Ohio again, Cincinnati, Ohio, and Akron, Ohio. We've been seeing, it's everywhere. It's just everywhere. Let's see. Hiding at the ruins of the DA's house, his fracking house. This is crazy. Not that crazy, but it's kind of weird that it's the DA, right? The district attorney. The district attorney is the one who is responsible for prosecuting the cop who is already in custody, and he is being charged with third-degree murder and manslaughter. Why do you do this to your DA? Why? That doesn't make any damn sense. Your DA is the guy who's working for you on this one. What, we think it isn't going fast enough? Well, I guess that's just too much for you. Screw you. Let me slide Chicago over here just so that I'm... Chicago needs to go above Philly. All right. Listen, my back's starting to hurt a little bit. It has now been an hour 40. Let me put on a scanner frequency that's active so that you guys can listen to that while I'm gone. What are the top 50 right now? Philadelphia is top right now with 11,000 viewers. Los Angeles is second with 7,000 viewers, 7,128. All right, let's have a listen to Philadelphia. It's too dark on Where's some other places? Los Angeles, Chicago. Chicago is usually very, very interesting to listen to. Chicago has its own little riot frequency.
Be advised, units on 18 responding to the 10-1, 410 North Michigan. All the bridges are off. Need to find an alternate route to 410 North Michigan. Again, they're throwing bike racks at the
Okay, yeah, this is a good one. I got to find me a Chicago stream because Chicago is so cool. Because Chicago, when they have civil disturbances like this, they always keep their what they're doing in the clear. They don't never go to encrypted frequencies, so they're always something that you can listen to. So I'm going to put my microphone down and kick the volume way up on my handheld. Where's okay? Yep, it's getting bad out there in Chicago. I'm going to let you listen to Chicago for a moment. Hope that nothing goes completely crazy in any of my feeds while I'm gone.
Alright, again, 1837 on the east side of Michigan. They're throwing objects at them.
But as you can see, the police here, the Chicago police are obviously exhibiting some level of stress in their voices. And I'll tell you something about Chicago that some of my regular listeners have heard. When I get back from a bathroom break and walking around so my back doesn't hurt anymore. So I will be right back. Before we go, real quick, this is, of course, Tales from SYL Ranch, where everyone is entitled to my opinion, and I am Bill Stone. If you like what I'm doing, please like this video, subscribe to my channel, hit the notification bell, share me on social media, and tell all of your friends, family, neighbors, pets, and livestock to do the same. And I will leave you at that. I will leave you with Chicago. Snow Joker is now reporting we have a curfew in Los Angeles. I wouldn't be shocked. Man, Chicago just... Man. All right. Chicago's going to hell. It's a bad disturbance, I can tell. I'll talk to you a little bit about Chicago when I get back. I'll be back momentarily.
refusing to get off, just be advised. Alright, be advised, looking at Citywide hot ticket, looks like they have some explosives at State and Kinsey. Be advised, State and Kinsey, there are explosives. Hey, 101, 102. Okay, look, do this public safety consent on 218 to Calumet, people congregating on the ramp. 102, I need some help out here. 18 to Calumet, people congregating. 101, 19 Paul. Thank you, I'm going to call you for a couple of them. Alright, be advised, Columbus and Lakeshore Drive, got a large group of people heading northbound Columbus Bridge.
And everything is spinning in my absence. Wonderful. Just wonderful. Oh, okay. Up, all spinning. Yep. Let me see if I can reload them.
1165 North Clark, commercial alarm side exit door. They said someone is in the store near the mini clinic. Alright, running northbound on state. Got a unit there. Someone running northbound on state.
We'll try reloading these and see if that causes them to come back. We'll do live on you. He's frozen, but it's a... Oh, shoot. Spinning again. Reload. Reload. Start.
We got a battery discharge 430 North Michigan. Female was hit in the head. EMS stated they will respond when the scene is secured.
You're just spinning. Who are you? Oh, you're that guy. Okay, let me take you out. You are Kingsley. You're okay. You're just not moving. All right. Well, you are. Okay. Let me try the other ones here. We'll go to the live portion of it. Try this guy. We'll go to the live portion of it. Sorry about that. That's what happens when I'm not around to stop from doing these things. What's... Okay, that one's just waiting. We'll put him live. and you are just kind of nasty. I like the fact that this guy has lots and lots of different streams of different places, but I guess I'll let it go. All right. Go back up to my chat here. Okay, wow, I have a bunch of it here. Dudu Horn says, it is insanity, a no-win situation. Yes, this is kind of a Kobayashi Maru situation. Let's see, I mean to end peacefully, yes. Curfew in downtown LA? Oh yeah, like they're going to pay any attention to that. Just probably go exactly like it did last night for Minneapolis. They had a 7 p.m. curfew and it didn't matter. They still went out and did terrorist activities. Let's see, Central Illinois, Trump Tower under siege. Baltimore, Channel 21, rigs bypassing. You just check Google. Okay, Star Siege player. It's getting ugly. Yes, it is, and it's not going to get any better as the day goes on. LA is like 90% white. I don't understand why they are protesting. But there's nothing to loot, and downtown is heavily populated. Star Siege player says they didn't control this fast enough, and now it's spinning like a virus. They should have on the first night in Minneapolis. The first night in Minneapolis, I think they should have done something that was particularly useful, but they didn't. Let me change your geometry so that maybe I can slide you over a bit and see this guy just a little bit better. Okay. But they should have done the first night in Minneapolis was control it. And if that meant bringing in the National Guard, if that meant spraying them with hoses, if that meant anything, they should have done that. Because what happened was Chicago, they realized that they can get away with it, that they can do anything with impunity. They can burn, maim, loot, kill, anything that they want with impunity, and no one will stop them. And so it spread. I think it spread like a virus because of that. If they had gotten it under control in Minneapolis to start with, I'm not sure that any of this would be happening. But, you know, it's hard to say. Downtown LA held 20,000 people. Yeah. In this rage virus distributed via coronavirus. Is this the rage virus? No, this has nothing to do with, shouldn't have said that virus name, because it's problematic for me sometimes. This doesn't have anything to do with that virus. It does a little bit. There's factors involved here. First you have this murder, and they didn't get it under any level of control inside of this is Times Square, but that doesn't look bad. They didn't get it under any level of control that night, and so that's problematic. And then we've got a whole bunch of people who have been locked up, cooped up in their homes for the last 3 months, going stir crazy, and that's going to cause an emotional impact as well. I do have a Chicago feed. It's over here. In any case, that's going to make things more difficult. When you've got, then you get into a mob situation, and mobs are completely unpredictable. You have no idea what a mob is going to do at any given moment in time. It's what happens in mobs is it spreads. You get, a few people who think they're going to do something stupid. The ones around them think, okay, let's do something stupid, and then the ones around them, and the mob becomes unpredictable and basically uncontrollable. So to just briefly recap, this one is a citizen journalist at Philadelphia. This one is somebody whose stream I really love because we're seeing Newark, New Jersey. Let me pull it down so I can see it. Newark, New Jersey, Philadelphia. Also, that's in addition to this guy over here, the small one. We're seeing Lancaster, Delaware, Dayton, Ohio, Cincinnati, Ohio, and Akron, Ohio in that window. Here we have Los Angeles. Looks like the mayor is still making some kind of statement, although God knows why it was going this long. And then we're seeing Los Angeles itself right here. Oh man, Miami looks like hell. And Dallas down here is being reasonable. Let me tell you something a little bit now. Let me go back to my chat and talk to those guys. Yeah, wake me up 20 years later. Yeah. Joseph called this is the virus. Yeah, no kidding. Lazy Gamer, we're writing a movie right now. Yeah, anybody, I encourage anyone at this particular moment in time to keep a journal. Keep some kind of journal, because I think that future generations of historians will want to look at those things. I'm always impressed by the journals of the Lewis and Clark expedition. Everybody that could write kept a journal, and it's extremely useful. Future historians may look at this and want to know precisely why we did what we did and how it got to this point. So keep journals, write things down. Blogs are not necessarily a good place; those can get taken down. Keep a personal journal, and I really honestly think that in the future there will be historians who want to know how the hell this happened. Let's see. I'm not spinning now. Shadow Man, impressed by my coverage. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Doo Home says, need to call the neighbors and tell them to stop hogging the bandwidth. Actually, it's not working like that here. Although after this, I have been sitting this close to upgrading to fiber, which would be fiber into my house, which would help quite a lot, obviously. Horn says, need to call the neighbors. Yeah, Shadow Man. Funny to watch the media blowing the LA stuff out of all proportion. Oh, they actually are. Fairfax District is a high-income, over 90% white zone in downtown LA. Why are they protesting? It isn't happening elsewhere. None of this protesting makes the slightest sense. The cop who killed George Floyd has been arrested, and he has been charged with murder 3 and manslaughter. He will be He will be sent to prison over one of those two. My guess is that it's going to be first-degree manslaughter. That's just a guess, but he will be going to be incarcerated. All you have to do now is wait for the justice system to do what it does, which is it takes time. You can't do this stuff without having proper investigations, getting forensic evidence, really good autopsies to make sure that there wasn't something else going on that might have killed the guy. All kinds of things that have to happen, and then the defense, they get all that same information and they try to figure out a way to counter it. It takes time. They had a double police homicide in Des Moines when I was living there. The first time, in one case, it was a Des Moines police officer, the first time they'd had a police officer killed in the line of duty since like 1972. And then they had another one in suburban Urbandale. That was the very first time they ever had a police shooting. It was by the same guy. I have a whole story about that I could tell you that has to do with somehow I cover this stuff. But they, that one, everybody in the universe was going, okay, there's a guy that needs to go to jail. They arrested him. They took the trial out of Des Moines because they knew there was no way you could find an impartial jury that way. They took it out of Des Moines, and he was found guilty, and he went to jail. And that particular guy, it took probably a year for that trial to happen. And that was one that everybody in Iowa wanted to see happen right the frack away. But that's just not how the justice system works. It takes time. You have to build a case and make sure that it's absolutely airtight, and the defense has to have access to all of that stuff that you have to see if they can do something about it. But it takes time to do these kinds of investigations. So all of these people are out here basically going, we want it now, we want it now, we want it now, which is why over in Minneapolis they trashed the DA's office because I guess he wasn't moving fast enough for them. Who the hell knows? All right, now we have a fire in Philadelphia over here. Let me put this window up here. We have a fire in Philadelphia. I don't know where this is. I can't geolocate. Looks like they've set another police cruiser on fire. So it's nasty and stupid and horrible and awful kinds of evil things. Cops are losing ground in LA. Yes. Marching through Beverly Hills. Oh, that would be fun. Super rich might be in increased danger. Well, that might be good for the super rich. The super rich guys, particularly when you get into, celebrities, those guys, they agree with this stuff. Go on Twitter sometime and watch how they say, yes, this is a good thing. But those guys all live in Beverly Hills and places like that that have nice gated houses and lots of guards. So for them to see mobs of people showing up, that would be a good thing for them. Let's see. Even if the cop died suddenly in his sleep, they would still go on. Yes, they would. Shadow Man's talking Lazy Gamer, losing ground. Where are they marching in Beverly Hills? Yeah, I don't know right now. Let's see. Hang on a second. It'll beat me if I need it. Let me shunt around a few things on my phone to make sure that if I get picked up by somebody I'm hoping picks me up, I will be able to see it. This is snowballing, rolling too fast to stop now. Yeah, I'm afraid that's probably the case. Lazy Gamer Shadow has no idea where it was. A helicopter view of cops retreating, and it said L.A. For all we know, it was a movie set. Well, one thing to be aware of, there's this picture right over here is downtown L.A. in the Fairfax district. I don't know where that is. Clearly, it's not too bad there. They're not having any horrifying stuff going on. Who are you again? Miami, Dallas. Chicago. Let me talk to you about Chicago a little bit here. That's this window right here. Chicago, they have some things going for them there. Chicago, you could hear it when I left. The police there are not sounding good. The officers on the ground are sounding very, very frightened. The dispatcher is not particularly calm. But Chicago has some things going for it. Downtown Chicago, the very sort of heart of Chicago that people like to talk about, is called the Loop. And that is because it is bounded on all four sides by elevated trains that kind of go into a loop. It isn't the entire downtown area. It's just a good chunk of it. There's lots of very big real estate both to the north and the south of that loop. But one thing they do have is the Chicago River. And the Chicago River comes straight down the middle of all of the most expensive real estate. And so what they do and what they have done, I know they've done, is they have raised the bridges across the Chicago River. That means nobody that's on the north side of that river can come down to the south side without going a very long distance. That's a good thing because it means you're going to keep them out of about half of the downtown, assuming you don't get people coming up from the south side. And if people come up from the south side, God knows what will happen, because that's one of the worst things going on anywhere ever. If they come up from the south, it's problematic. But what we were hearing on their frequency was them talking about things that are happening on the north side of the Chicago River. Now, also north of Chicago River on Michigan Avenue is what's called the Miracle Mile. The Miracle Mile is just a whole lot of very expensive stores and things like that. So they're probably very, that's a good candidate for looting, absolutely. Very expensive upscale stores there. So they do have something of that going for them, but all of the stuff they've been talking about, I've heard them talk about Clark Street. I've heard them talking about the Wrigley Building, which is at the very edge of what I said was the Miracle Mile. That's not a good place to have them. Let's see. Using collisive helicopter shots. You're right there in L.A. Not hearing about any of this, or not seeing it. Have friends who live in Beverly Hills. Okay. Lazy Gamer says I'm in the southeast. The thing has not spread here yet so much. That's good. Shadowman says there is less than 1,000 people arrests in the streets in downtown LA. No looting. They did burn 2 patrol cars earlier today. Yeah, I did hear something on the scanner. I don't know shortly after I started my stream, saying that from very scared sounding police that they were in danger of being overrun. Who are you? KTSP. Okay, this is a Minneapolis, Minnesota thing going on. Let me mute him, see if I can see.
As we saw things evolve, and we've talked about this, tonight's coordinated effort between the National Guard, the State Patrol, law enforcement presence will be different. We fully have activated the National Guard.
Okay.
Those folks have been...
Minnesota has fully activated the National Guard. They're planning to bring in law enforcement, National Guard, state police as well to try to put an end to this. Good. They should have done that days ago. Unfortunately, oops, I accidentally shut him down when I intended to make him live. They should have gotten this under control the first night. If they hadn't, I don't think the rest of this would be happening. Now what's buzzing me? Something I don't need to know about or care about. Lazy Gamer, this is interesting. What are you saying, Shadow? Are you saying that powers that be are manipulating things to assume more control? Crazy talk. They'd never do anything like that. Always assume that whatever your elected official are doing, they're doing it because they want more power over you. That's what they always do. Politicians are, by the textbook definition, power-mad sociopathic narcissists, particularly at the federal level. In fact, you don't even get to be at the federal level without being a power-mad sociopathic narcissist. And I encourage you to look up antisocial personality disorder, which is what they call sociopathy, and look up narcissistic personality disorder. Just look them up on Wikipedia. Go down to the symptoms and look at the symptoms, and you will find that enough of them apply that clearly they are sociopathic narcissists. On the power madness side, all they do all day long, they don't work for you. What they're trying to do is jockey for power. They are trying to get as much personal power as they possibly can, and how to maintain it as long as they possibly can. That is what every single politician does. They do it in Lincoln, Nebraska. The whole thing with COVID was an attempt to, and a successful one, to get more power away from individuals and put it in the hands of power-mad sociopathic narcissists. That's, in a large measure, that is why we had all of the lockdowns that we have that has destroyed our economy, put us into something that rivals the Great Depression and may well exceed it by the time all is over. We should have let that virus run its course. We are now, in fact, in danger of having our agricultural system collapse. I can talk about that because of where I am. In Nebraska, we have a lot of agricultural land. Much of it is cattle ranching. There are some other farming that goes on there. But our cattle ranchers are in free fall because the meat processing plants that deal with their livestock have closed. There is an enormous, we have dairy farmers who are having to dump all of the milk they have because they can't sell it. We have crop farmers that are not able to sell any of their crops, and they're rotting right where they are. We are in danger of having our agricultural industry fail. And I urge you to think for a moment what will happen in all of these big cities if they don't have food, and they're not going to see any for a long, long time. Food riots. The city's on fire. Cannibalism immediately comes to mind. They don't understand how food is produced, and they have crippled our industry to the point where we now have it failing. This whole thing with the virus, doing these lockdowns, was a terrible, terrible idea. We should have just let it run. And in any case, what they're talking about with the lockdowns was not reducing the number of cases. The lockdowns were to flatten the curve so that the cases were spread out over a long period of time. Well, that's killed us. That has caused significant problems. And part of why we see what we're seeing out here is because these guys have been trapped in their houses for, 2 months or more, and they started going stir crazy. It is definitely impacting their behavior. I think that's absolutely true myself. Let's see. Zombie says Minnesota's governor early today claimed that 80% of Minneapolis protesters were from out of state. Really? I'd have to look that. The governor said that? County jail records show 81% of those arrested are Minnesota residents. Okay. Doodoo Home says, is the Minnesota governor going to ask the citizens to rise up again? No. There will never be any governor who suggests that citizens should rise up. Nobody is going to say, okay, private individuals go, or okay, terrorists go. I don't think. I have a very old friend who lives in Minneapolis. He's very, very upset about all this. He never expected to see his city descending into flames the way that it is. And he has, by the way, if you're watching me, for God's sake, get out, come and stay with me. We are not having this problem. I listened to the Lincoln, Nebraska frequency all last night, and it was just normal traffic. So if you're in Minnesota, Minneapolis, I say get out now. Go north. I don't know how far. I'd suggest Pine City because I'm familiar with it. I have relatives in Minnesota and probably some extended relatives in Minneapolis. My sister has a friend in Minneapolis. Get in your car, drive north to about Pine City, and get yourself a motel and stay there for further notice, because who the hell knows what's going to happen here. Let's see. Good friend of yours is of Jim's friend on Twitter. Not sure what that's about. Oh gosh! So we have our Chicago protest, which is not showing the worst of it. Sorry. Just got another one. Okay, this is, oh my God, Salt Lake City? Really? Okay, let's see if we can find a Salt Lake City one. Salt Lake City. Now there's something you wouldn't expect. Oh man, I'm filling up my screen so fast with windows. Salt Lake City, filter on
Hey, Bill.
live.
I'm having a party.
And the downtown Salt Lake City protest. Let's see what you look like. And now everything is buffering. Okay. Reload. 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 And let's see what we can get here. Go. Live. It's kind of frozen, but it's... You're still spinning. Go. Nope. Still spinning. You may be okay. Go. Live. I may have to change my window. Oh, wait. I know how to change my window geometry. Okay. Hang on a second. So many windows and so little time. Go. This is no longer live. That was Chicago. Okay, Chicago, you're going away. I'll find another Chicago stream if I can. And everything is just buffering. Chicago, you can go away. Philadelphia is done buffering, it looks like. Let's go live. Still done buffering, okay. Are you going to be cool with me? You are. And you're live, not quite. We'll go live. Okay, I'm back without anything spinning for once. The Chicago one, boy, I wish I could sit there and geolocate it for you, to be honest. But if I throw up Google Maps, that's really going to cause a problem. Back to my chat here. Don't have any good friends on Twitter. Doodoo Horn, just the same thing. Zombie says someone I follow says the same. Never mind. Yeah, we can't. I'll tell you what I will do here. What is this? Salt Lake City. How do I like you? Do I like you live? Well, let's throw up Salt Lake City just for fun. Salt Lake City. Alter the window geometry. And down. And over. And up. And I'll create a new element for window capture for Salt City, and we'll capture you. There you are. Window geometry is decent, but where am I going to put you? Guess I'm going to make you smaller because it doesn't look too bad there. And we'll take you, put you over here so that you're on top of that. But then we'll take you. You are, we'll put you on top of Salt Lake City so that you're not bothered by the window decorations and window geometry quite so much. Let me make that a little bit bigger. So, Salt Lake City, it became real active on my scanner, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're being terrible out there. We'll watch them just because it's there. Where's my pretty girl thumbnail? Oh, well, I can't do those. Come back on Tuesday for my live stream for Stargirl, and then you'll see another one. For this, no. For this, I had to show basically some some of the excuse me, the structure fires that were caused last night. I believe they were in somewhere in Georgia. And then I gave this thing a name that says terrorism. And the reason that I do that is the definition of terrorism is the use of physical and violence and threats to intimidate or coerce, especially for political purposes. That absolutely applies to every single thing that we are seeing here. This is terrorism. Is it going to be more calm tonight? Oh, hardly. Oh, hardly. When darkness comes, forget it. Oh, darkness comes, you just screwed. Last night, I mean, I did it till midnight my time, and it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. With darkness, you get people who are coming out that are absolutely not protesters. They're coming out because they know now that they can loot and God knows what else and get away with it. So Salt Lake City looks nice. Glad to see that. Peaceful protesters, yay. And a lot of what we're seeing here, fortunately, is peaceful to some extent. I'm not seeing a lot of horrible stuff going on any of my windows here, despite the fact that I am hearing a lot of activity on my screen. It may just be that the people on the ground have got their cams pointed in the wrong direction. I don't know. But no, it's going to be worse tonight. It's going to be worse tonight for sure. It's always going to be worse. Now, the only thing we have to say about this that's good is that Minneapolis has got the National Guard coming. They've got the state police coming. They've got local law enforcement. They may have enough people to at least contain things. I don't know. It's really anybody's guess whether they'll be able to keep this contained. We just don't know. It's just too crazy right now. But again, looking at what we've got here so far, with a few exceptions, Los Angeles, for example, up here in the top left window, Los Angeles, we're seeing a couple of what looks like vehicles on fire. Not seeing much at all in Dallas, which I find a good thing. Seeing some looting going on down here in Philadelphia. Philadelphia worries me just a little bit because they have a lot of really good historical things about the United States, and for the most part, the protesters believe that the United States is terrible and awful and racist and has been from the beginning. The problem is they have absolutely no conception of history and why it is that the Constitution was written the way that it was. I'll tell you, for example, everybody rags on Thomas Jefferson because he owned slaves. Well, guess what? It was illegal for him to not own them. If he had let his slaves go, they simply would have been rounded up and taken off to somebody else, and then Jefferson would have been punished for freeing them. It was impossible for him to free them. And in point of fact, historically, slaves who escaped slavery tended to want to, because they were just going to get caught and sold off to somebody else anyway. So they tended to want to go to either Thomas Jefferson or George Washington because they knew that they would be treated well there. Now, in terms of, saying slavery can't happen in the Constitution, well, that was, taken care of with a constitutional amendment. Why it didn't from the beginning was because Thomas Jefferson, who authored the Declaration of Independence, had language in it that would have been part of what the king has kept people slaves, etc., etc. But unfortunately, there were a couple of the colonies that would not sign off on that, so they weren't able to put that in, and they had to take that language out, and that's unfortunate. You're talking about something that happened over 250 years ago. You cannot look at any level of history. You can't look at history. This is something I do because my channel is oftentimes generally reviews for science fiction and fantasy and superheroes and stuff like that. And I often do what are called classic movies, basically anything from 1900 to 1980-ish. And when you do that, you absolutely cannot evaluate a film based on today's perspective. You must evaluate it on the perspective of when it was made. And that's the same with history. You can't go back and say, oh, this was terrible in history from today's perspective. You have to understand what was going on, what were the motivations, what was happening at that time in history, so that you can understand, okay, they actually did the best thing that they could, and they created a form of government that had never existed on this planet before and still doesn't. The Constitution says that your rights are inviolable and that it is government's job, if anything, to safeguard those rights. It says everything in it talks about what the government can't do, what government cannot do. It has a very few things that it says the federal government can do, and then there's a 10th Amendment that says the first 10 amendments say explicitly you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do that, you can't do that. That's what the government can't do. And then you got your 10th Amendment, which says anything we didn't think of in the first 9 amendments, government can't do any of that stuff either. Now, today, of course, the Constitution might as well be used for toilet paper by the power-mad sociopathic narcissists in Washington. It's almost useless now in terms of the Constitution. They violate every single Bill of Right that's in it on a daily basis. In fact, in Washington, our politicians violate the Constitution about 99.99999999999999999% of the time of what they do. Very damn little is what they do is actually constitutional. And if they followed the Constitution, which there's no reason for them to do, then we would not be in the sort of trouble that we're in right now. We would not. It causes problems when the federal government gets involved in things that it does not have the authority to do. Back to my chat here. The Fubbits, haven't seen you before. Glad to see you here. Trumpty Dumpty is calling for his sycophants to come surround the White House, presumably so they can clash with protesters. No. Don't call him Trumpty Dumpty. I don't care if you don't like him. I'm not a particular fan of it myself. But for you to call him something other than President Trump is indicative of some level of cognitive dissonance on your part. But in any case, the reason that people want to surround the White House is it was stormed last night. A bunch of these protesters stormed the White House. Now, they were able to be stopped by the Secret Service, who generally don't take any prisoners with that. But you've stormed the White House, for Christ's sake. Stormed the White House with the intent to burn it to the ground. Of course you want as much people as you can around that to stop it. That's just ridiculous. But in any case, it is President Trump, whether you like him or not, whether you like the fact that he's in that position or not, and it's cognitive dissonance to say something else. Lazy Gamer, I saw people last night that were very well equipped. Gas masks, I've seen those too, yes. Tactical vests, the young people often confuse them for cops. Yeah. After they discovered the first night that they can get away with, doing looting, arson, armed robbery, regular robbery, assault with a deadly weapon, attempt to murder complete innocent people. Once they figured out that, we can get away with it, well, let's up the ante. Let's make sure that, the cops are having an even harder time dealing with us. We'll put on masks, so if they chuck out tear gas to try to disperse us, it won't affect us. Let's put on flak vests in case they, shoot anything at us. Of course, they figured out they could get away with it, and they're going to up it. Let's see. Zombie says, Mayor of St. Paul admits at afternoon press conference he shared false information on the arrest data. Apparently, he was forced to admit it. The Fuppets, Bill, with due respect, we will call Trump what we want. Sure, feel free to call him what you want, but it's cognitive dissonance to think that he's any other thing other than a president, because he is. Like it or not, he is the president of the United States. And when you talk about him the way that you're talking about him, I'm not a Trump supporter. I have a lot of policy differences with the man, but what I don't assume is that he is the Antichrist or that he has a bunch of racist followers that he can call upon at any time. He doesn't. He's not. He's not racist himself. He has many people of color working under him. He is not anti-Semitic. He is not a Nazi. He has a son-in-law who is Jewish, and his daughter converted to Judaism. You can't be a Nazi and have that happen. You would disown your daughter. That's ridiculous. Much of the things that's said about Trump are ridiculous. In addition, we have a press that hates his guts, wants to see him down, and so they will take video clips out of context. For example, the thing about Charlottesville that you've always heard, that he said that there were good people in there. You didn't see the part that they edited out where he actually condemned what went on there. The press, nothing you see in the press is real. Nothing. You can't judge Trump based on what the press says. They lie constantly. Now, Trump may be a big braggart, that he certainly is on Twitter. I often wish he'd shut the hell up. But he's not what everybody thinks he is. What you are dealing with is you have been brainwashed by the press. Period. Let's see. The Puppet says, also there's a video pinball game called Trumpity Dumpity themed to Trump. What a shock. You know, people who, I'm sorry, Trump derangement syndrome is a thing. People who are this down on him have a mental disorder. And what's going to happen is Trump is going to win in 2020. Biden stands absolutely no chance whatsoever. The man is going senile, and that's obvious if you listen to him for any period of time. He has no chance, Trump. In a debate, Trump is just going to stand there and let Biden dig his own grave. Trump is going to win again, and he's going to be around till 2024, and there ain't a damn thing anybody can do about it. But when people who are really down on him have Trump derangement syndrome. It is a mental disorder. And the problem is that after 8 years of being mentally unsound, what are you going to do? Because I know from having, parents who are psychologists, a kid who is getting her PhD in psychology, having had a lot of therapy myself, you have to want to change. When you're crazy, when you have a disorder like that, you have to want to change. Why would anyone with TDS want to change? It is crazy. You are suffering from a problem. If you really think that bad about Trump, you are suffering from a mental disorder, and you must want to change in 2024. Let's see, Lazy Gamer. If I was playing a global strategy game, I would definitely have agent spies involved in instigating this. I don't think that's happening. I think you're just seeing a ton of frustration going on, and that's really about it. We do have, however, to work with the fact that these are people who have been trapped in their apartments, in their houses for the last couple of months going stir crazy, and that is going to influence what happens as well. Puppets, we worked with Trump. We don't need the press to tell us what kind of person he is, Bill. Well then, Trump mocks the office. Okay, tell me how he mocks the office. Just tell me. If you personally worked for Trump, with Trump, do tell me that. We doesn't tell me a damn thing. And you are being brainwashed by the press every single day. They will never say anything positive about him, ever. They will always take his quotes out of context. They will always edit what he says so that it looks bad. Always, always, always. No other thing. They will always do that. They detest him. So I don't judge Trump by what he's done before. I judge him by what he does in office, because to me that's what matters. I don't give a rat's ass what kind of person he is in a private citizen. He is not what you think. If you are actually that down on him, you have TDS and you have a problem, because in another 4 years you're going to have to figure out whether your grip on sanity is enough that you should go and get therapy, because trust me, if you're that down on him, you need therapy. Judy Horn says there have been fingers pointed at left and right since this began. Yeah, Lazy Gamer says there's a lot to gain from being in a good position, ready for the rebuild or conquest. I really don't think we're looking at anything here that is motivated by an outside source. I think what we're looking at here is just a lot of very angry people who have been brainwashed to believe that they live in the worst time it could possibly be for African Americans, and that all of these police and whatnot are all racists who are sitting around just trying to gun for black people, or just waiting around. Where's a black person? There's a black person. Bam! No, that's not happening. What you are seeing actually in law enforcement is is a side effect of something that should never have been allowed to happen. Let me see if I get this. There was a time in the, I know because I grew up with it, there was a time, okay, that live stream is offline. Who are you? Live George Floyd. So what guy put you up there? Who is this? Come on. I want to know your channel name so I know which one to get rid of. Kingsy. Okay, you're going away. Goodbye, Kingsy. What you're seeing here, in large measure, is how we have allowed our police to become militarized. There was a time, if you know the TV series, God, not another one. This is my scanner going off. And there's a couple of thousand people listening to the New York Police Department Citywide 1 channel. We'll see if I can find a New York City stream. But what happened was, it used to be that your average cop had a sidearm and a shotgun in the door or in the trunk. That's what they had. It all started to go to hell when they created SWAT teams, because then they got into a military mindset. It got worse during the Iraq War, because then they started selling police military hardware. They shouldn't do that. And also a lot of military, a lot of ex-military, not a lot, but many police officers are ex-military. And right now that means they are used to dealing with urban warfare. And when that happens, I have to tell you, I was a teacher for a number of years at a technical school and worked with a lot of vets. And they are used to doing this, they have this mindset of urban warfare. You know, where literally, where they were, you had to watch out every single freaking window because death could come raining down at you at any time. So they become police officers, and without the proper training to say, no, 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 no. Death is not about to rain on you. You don't have snipers sitting in the bushes. You don't have IEDs sitting in the middle of the street. You know, those guys, they come back and they have something of a military mindset, and I think that's problematic. It is the fact that we have allowed our police to become militarized. Now, if it were me, I would let them keep the flak vests. Other than that, I would take away all their weaponry, all of their military hardware, and leave them with a sidearm and maybe a carry gun, maybe a holdout gun in their pants, and a shotgun. That's all. If you can't deal with things without that, it is time to call in the National Guard. If you have to have military hardware, call the military. And there's a brilliant, brilliant quote that was by the character of William Adama in the 2000s Battlestar Galactica series. And this is what he said. There's a reason that the police and the military are separate. It's because the police's job to protect the people. The military's job is to fight the enemies of the state. When the two become the same, then the people tend to become the enemies of the state. Now, unfortunately, nobody but me and a couple of friends apparently have figured out that this is actually the biggest problem. So, you know, we have local police departments getting all kinds of stuff. Hell, I lived in a small town in Iowa, a suburb of Des Moines, far western suburb. Jesus, you know, those guys, they had hardware that they should never have. You know, it's at a point now where it's so bad that it's possible to do what they call, I'm sure you've heard it, swatting. Where you call somebody you don't like and say, hey, these guys have, 4,000 pounds of cocaine. And so the SWAT team shows up, raids the place, maybe kills some people, kills some dogs, and then they discover there's nothing there. Well, used to be that if you had a drug call, you had a team of officers go out there and pound on the door. And if there was actually a problem, you might have one of them go around and wait around the back door. And the front door, the guy would pound on it and say, police, we need to talk to you. If they had nothing to hide, they'd let you in. You'd go, okay, well, no drugs here. If they did have something to hide, typically they'd try to run out the back and somebody back there would catch them. But you don't need military hardware for that. We have allowed our police to become militarized. And it is a serious, serious problem now. All right, a lot to gain. not motivated to be taken advantage of, Laser Gun says. Fuppets, cut us a break, Bill. Used to work with the press. Know full how it is. Certainly, what they say has nothing to do with what we know. What we know. He's the single worst human being we've ever met. Bullshit. You want to know the single worst human being that I personally have ever met? I know who it is. It was a guy that I knew in 3rd grade who was a psychopath. He has since gone on to murder 4 people. And amazingly, he's out now. That is the worst person I've ever met. Trump does not even remotely compare to him. And if you're taking Trump and saying he's the worst person in the world, you have not had enough life experience to know what real bad looks like. Lazy Gamer, when civilization in another country starts to have internal turmoil, I jump all over that opportunity to take over with a minimal loss. Zombie, someone talked about how the riot was the best thing for Target. All competition has been burnt down. They rebuild the store, and they have a monopoly on the area. No, they don't. They burned down 2 Target stores in Minneapolis. That doesn't help anybody at all. And in any case, Target has now shut down all of their stores in Minnesota because obviously their employees are at risk of death. These people will kill them under certain circumstances. Oh, you mean when you play Civilization, rather. Due to home, it could be that lazy. I just want one thing. Sharks was friggin' lasers with friggin' lasers, yeah. Zombie says, Trump is the worst human being we've ever met. Haven't met a lot of people. Fuppets will email you later to give you more background. The persona here is for our satire channel. Don't expect to get into the worked with Trump jazz. You accused us of being brainwashed, so spoke up. Well, if you're being a satire channel, fine, but I appreciate if you wouldn't be satiric on when I'm here, because otherwise I'm going to take you seriously. It's impossible to tell satire in a written word. You're not us, Bill, nor have you worked with him. You guys just get it. Unless you've had the experience, you have no idea what you're talking about. Has Trump murdered anybody? Go ahead and answer me that. Has Trump murdered 3 people in cold blood? Like that guy I knew from 3rd grade? Has Trump done that? Has he murdered 3 people in cold blood? Really? Okay, I got another one that disappeared on me. I'll see if I can get this. Because Jeffrey Dahmer, isn't he a worse person than Trump? John Wayne Gacy, isn't he a worse person than Trump? You can't say Trump is the worst person in the world. That's fracking stupid. I don't care if you worked with him. He hasn't murdered people. He hasn't serial killed people. He hasn't been killing them and putting them in the freezer and eating them later. You can't say that Trump is the worst person in the world. I don't care if he's, honestly, I think he's a womanizing scumbag, but that doesn't make him the worst person in the world. I mean, that's just ridiculous. All right, let me find what this one was. This is Philadelphia. We lost that one. I will remove him out of here. And I've been on for 2 hours and 37 minutes. Yes, remove you and maybe move around some stuff. Obviously, what we're seeing right now does make me feel good, because what we've been seeing so far is largely peaceful protesters. Yeah, the yelling and screaming and stuff, but yelling and screaming amounts to nothing. So I'm happy with that. By the way, Fuppets, I don't know who you are. Haven't met those people, Bill. It's only about who you work with, not every human being on the planet. Well, I haven't met John Wayne Gacy or Jeffrey Dahmer, but I know that they're worse people than Trump. I mean, the idea that you can say Trump is the worst person in the world is utterly laughable. There are so many people, Hitler. Hitler was worse. I never met him, but Trump isn't killing 6 million Jews, despite the fact that the liberals would have you believe that that's what he intends to do. He's not killing 6 million Jews. He's obviously, in fact, let me go live with you. Are you dead too on Salt Lake City? Yep, looks like you are. Let me reload you and see if I get anything back, because it looks like it may be still a live stream. But you can't, it's not even a comparison. It's not even a comparison. It's utterly laughable. You can send me all you want about Trump, but it still stands. The man is not trying to murder 6 million Jews. He's not some kind of crazy, let me see, what was that? This is my chat, so I don't want you here. I don't remember, damn it, which one it is. That must have been Salt Lake City. I'll remove you. Yes. And let me see if I can find some other videos to put up so that I'm not quite just ranting here. I will know as best I can after we chat. Look, dude, tell me right now in chat, yes or no, is Trump murdering 6 million Jews? Yes or no? Is Trump a cannibal, a serial killer cannibal? If the answer to those things is no, he is clearly not the worst person in the world. Did Trump kill roughly, what is it in the former Soviet Union? Something like 60 million people? Did he cause the death of 60 million Americans? No. Clearly, he's not the most worst person in the world. I think he's a womanizer. I think he's a blowhard in many respects. I wish he'd shut up on Twitter. But you'll never convince me. You will never convince me that he is anything like Hitler, John Wayne Gacy, any of those people. He is not the worst person in the world. Period. End of story. Look, you're saying he's the worst person. I'm giving you examples of people who are worse than he is. Much worse. So your statement that he's the worst person in the world is easily provably wrong. You can dislike his policies all you want. You can think he's a womanizer. You can think he's kind of weird for touching his daughter the way he does, which I do sometimes. It's kind of creepy. But you can't say he's the worst person in the world. He just can't. Let's see, doo-doo horns. I don't like the protesters getting right in the face of the police or anyone, but yes, yelling is fine. Sure, I don't mind yelling. That's fine as long as you're not throwing things at them, which they've generally been doing. Fubbins, that has nothing to do with anything. It's a false comparison construct you're pulling out there. No, it's not. No, it's not. It's not a false comparison. If you are going to say that Trump is the worst person, then you're putting him up. You have to hold him up against other really bad people. And when you do, you discover he's not the worst person. You may not like him as a president, but he's not the worst person. You know, how do you come up with this, right? I mean, this is something that I've wondered about since forever. It's like you're taking 1 + 1 + 1 and ending up with 567. How do you do that? It's cognitive dissonance of a kind that I can't even possibly understand. No one said worst in the world, worst we've ever met. That's why it's so hard to believe. Well, you have not met many people. I have met quite a lot of people in my 40-year career in IT, much of which was consulting work. I have worked for probably 10 different companies. I have met a ton of people. I have met people that are way worse than him, at least anything that I've seen. People that I would never in a million years want to see in any level of government office. And again, I think Trump is a womanizer. He's kind of weird with his daughter, but he is not a racist. He is not a homophobe. I don't think he cares at all about whether you're gay or not. He's not a Nazi, and that's provably obvious. You're taking 1 + 1 + 1 and ending up with 5,000. How do you do that? You know, I mean, it's provable. I mean, maybe he's the worst person you've worked with, but who cares? Who cares? There are way worse people that you can find out there to work with. What's the worst person that I've ever worked with? Oh, I know. The worst person I ever worked with. Yeah, comes right off the top of my head. I worked for a company that produces half of the Girl Scout cookies sold in throughout the world. And there was a guy there. A complete a-hole to everyone, complete a-hole to me. The guy was cheating on his wife as a matter of course. The guy, you don't see this around even here. The guy liked chew. You know, he'd have a tobacco chew in his mouth all the time, constantly spitting out. He was the worst person I've ever run into. Just a complete a-hole. And when he was put in any level of authority, he abused it. He was terrible to his underlings. There's the worst guy I've ever met. And I've got some that are close to that. But I mean, that's just the worst. You know, just saying, screw it, I'll just do all these things and screw you. You're an a-hole. I'll get to you when I feel like it, you jerk. And, you know, by the way, I'm going to go screw this woman tonight who isn't my wife. And by the way, he was doing that before he was married. He was actually engaged. You know, it's ridiculous. Let's see. Dude, stop. We'll talk later. You cannot say that isn't true. Yeah, I can. It's easy. It's easy. Shots are fired in Detroit. Sounds good. Yeah, sounds normal for Detroit. Lazy Gamers, that kind of does. Fubbits, how does one come up with that? We will see. They have the literal experience to call upon. Having worked with the media, go and try to claim. We've not met many people, Pshaw. Or are you in the press? Oh, boy. I was going to ask if anyone noticed snow. Call in OCP. I'm not sure. I'm not sure about snow. Did the person I knew become POTUS? No, he didn't, because he didn't have the wherewithal to do it. But that doesn't... There have been worse presidents, for Christ's sake. There have been way worse presidents than Trump. Far, far worse. Zombie says, end of the press conference as governor is leaving, he picked up the mic and saying to Mayor Frey, I'm so sorry you got that question. Most likely referring to the press asking him if he failed the city. Yes, he did. Oh, good. Okay. I got to turn to this one and listen. This is where I live. And that worries me whenever I hit large numbers of listeners to where I live. Because I live in a city of about 340,000, and I do not want to see this crap going down here at all. I like to think that people in my city have a better sense than this, but who the hell knows? Fuppet says everyone talks about him but never met him. You claim they're all brainwashed. Come across someone with first-hand experience, as you say, who cares? Curious with that, Bill. Okay. You may have met the guy. You may have worked with him at some point. You may have more information about how he works. But 99.999999999999999% of the people in the United States have never met him personally. All they know about him is what the press tells him. And the press lies, the press edits out, the press tells things that just aren't true because the press hates his guts. They propagate insane conspiracy theories like the Russian one, which anybody with a brain knew was just complete nonsense. I knew that was going to go nowhere, but what happened with it? You know, that was a complete scam. That was totally untrue, and it was untrue from day one. So there have been worse people. There have been worse presidents. Most people never meet him. They are totally influenced by what the press says. And let me tell you something. Nothing you see in the press is real. Nothing. And I say this because I'm someone who has a masochistic hobby that I've had for 30 years, where I debunk the press. And it started when I was 15 years old. And I was interviewed by my local hometown newspaper for a complete fluff piece where they made up quotes. Something I didn't say. A few years later, I was involved with the press when Deborah Winger, who was a passable movie star at that time, came to where I live and shot part of Terms of Endearment on location. I watched the press, the entire state press, in any format, print or media, lie about her. And I know because I was at the event that they were lying about her too. A few years later, I was an actor myself, and I went to and I was told in advance. There was a woman who did human interest stories on cast members throughout the summer. We were told in advance, be careful what you say about her, around her. She likes to do hit pieces. I wasn't careful enough. I got a hit piece done on me. Later on, I worked with. I was living in Chicagoland. There was in my suburb. There was essentially a Citizens Fight City Hall. Well, I was working with the Chicago Sun-Times reporter, and she made stuff up. I was there. She made up quotes that I never said. In fact, I remember I came downstairs, said to my ex, my wife at the time, showed her the paper, and I said, look at this, great article, look at those quotes. I wish I'd said them. They lie. They make stuff up all the time. And they have a severe leftist bent. Very, very severe, and it's incredibly obvious. And I understand why. They live in a little bubble. Everyone around them that they know thinks the way that they do. And so they believe that that's the way everyone thinks. And that is nonsense. They're in a bubble. They don't tell the truth, ever. Even if they're trying, they get it wrong. Another one that I had happen when I was living in Des Moines. When Trump was elected, the Des Moines public schools, which includes, at that time, I think it was about 15 or 20 different schools ranging from, grade school to high school. But all of the middle schools and the high schools were allowed to let their children go out and do a protest for the afternoon. Now, the press had, why the hell the public school system would allow that, I don't know. But in any case, the press had no advance warning this was coming. There was a press release issued. Well, you know what? They didn't get there in time to do any covering of the story. You know what they did? They took pictures and quotes off of students' Facebook and Instagram. Now, you tell me whether you think that is a very, very good place to get it. It is now at a point, I've been doing this so long, that if you give me any news story from any source, if you're conservative, it can be Fox News. And in 30 minutes, with 30 minutes of research, I can tell you either that one of three things: that the event never happened, and that happens. The event didn't happen as reported, that's pretty common. Or if you take away a slick interface, unrelated filler, and all the emotionally loaded language and opinion that is present in every single article ever written, the facts devolve to a few paragraphs at best. I have a video here on YouTube called Debunk the Press Viewer Challenge. I debunked a weather report. They can't even get a weather report right. Nothing you see in the press is real. Nothing. Let's see. Zombie says they care more about people's feelings than saving the city. Yes. Looks like people are assaulting police openly in Chicago. I'll have to see if I can find myself a Chicago stream. I don't look like I have it there. This is a New York City one. If it's not worked with him, he tried to screw us. You'll love that story. Marla was the hero. Again, email me later. Fine. That's fine. Watch Broadcast News, the movie. It touches on the at the time, transition from lossy news departments to must-make money entertainment. No. The press has never been trustworthy. Look back to what's his name? William Randolph Hearst, the first media magnate of modern times, owned a ton of newspapers. That man got us into the Spanish-American War. It was wholly his fault. Using yellow journalism and stuff he just made up, he got us into a war. Let me show you something here. Let me see. It's going to be on YouTube. I'm going to drop this link into my chat so that you can see it. Front page 1931. Copy that. Copy link. Place it in here. This is a link to the 1931 edition of the Front Page. Now, this is a story that is dark satire, to be sure, but it was written by a then contemporaneous pair of Chicago journalists. Now, they took all of the behavior that you see about those reporters from their own experience. It is as close to reality in 1931 as you're going to find. You take that and you update it for modern technology, and you will discover that these guys haven't changed one iota. I am willing to bet I know for a fact that the American Revolution, the revolutionaries padded the truth, kinda, because they wanted to get more support. And I know that if you go back to as far as the ancient Egyptians, I'm real sure that those scribes who were carving hieroglyphics praising the pharaohs, they dealt fast and loose with the truth too, because if they didn't, they'd die. Nothing you see in the press is real. Nothing, and it never has been. The press has never, ever, ever been trustworthy. Not once. Let's see. Work with them. Watch Broadcast News. Yeah. Bill has the weather ever been right? That's not what I mean. They did a weather report that was, it was when we were having that polar vortex thing. And they did a weather report that was easily disprovable. It was a weather report that was filled with images that had nothing to do with the weather, had nothing to do with what they thought was coming. They were making assumptions about things that were coming, and this wasn't a minor thing. This was a big story in USA Today. This was not just, weatherman saying it was going to be cold tomorrow. This was USA Today talking about stuff that they were just speaking out of their asses. And when I went through it and I debunked it, when we got done with it, there were about 2 paragraphs worth of actual facts. The rest was nonsense. Fup, it's the last thing, and we'll shut up. With 20 years experience in media with a degree in communications, with all due respect, the press has issues, but it changed hugely since the 1970s. Well, let me see. Your 20 years would not take you back far enough. You really, it doesn't take you back far enough to where news began to be for profit. Before news was for profit, they still lied. Walter Cronkite was a lefty. And that's just the way it is. I've never met someone in the press who wasn't extremely left-leaning. Extremely left-leaning. They live in a bubble where everybody feels the same way that they do, and they are extraordinarily left-leaning. And there is no way around it. It's impossible to even talk about it. It'll be like, it's like my part of the country, right? They make assumptions about, Nebraska based on nonsense. Nothing. If you haven't been here, if you haven't lived here, you have no idea what it's like in Nebraska. We by the way, we find it insulting when you call us flyover country, because as if we didn't exist. Oh God, not another one. Philadelphia is getting some more stuff now. Oh man, I hate not having this. Chicago blowing up. Black person is a whole block. This person is getting destroyed. Let me see if I can find a Chicago one, and I'll stop going off about this. Chicago. Filters, or live rather. Chicago protest. What do you look like? Well, it's a citizen journalist, so that's good. Let me pull this up so you can see it. And Chicago's a place, as I mentioned earlier, I have some experience with because I lived there for about 10 years. So we will reset the geometry, make you big. Oh, I made you small. Make you big. Slide you over here. Slide you over there. And slide you up so that you guys don't have to be bothered with extraneous crap. And I'll make a Chicago card. And there's our Chicago card. Oh man, I got so many elements on here. And let's push you up so that the window controls are out of the way. And there's Chicago right now. As we can see, they got some fires burning. They are on, I believe that they are on Clark Street. Yes, they're on Clark Street. And they have fortunately not, I don't think they've made it to the loop. That large, they're doing something in front of Trump Tower, however. That's near Trump Tower. So they've started to go nuts. What? I studied journalism when I was acting? No, I didn't. I am a critic of journalism by virtue of having worked with everything from the Lincoln Journal-Star, my hometown newspaper, KOLN-TV, which is the local CBS News. I have worked with the Chicago Sun-Times. Those were the ones that misquoted me while I was working there. I'm sorry, not misquoted me, made quotes up. And I have worked with CNN. At no time, there is not a single instance in which they ever got the facts right. Not once in 30 years. And as I say, if you give me some of your copy, email me some of your copy, I will debunk it for you. I will show you how you have screwed up. Because nothing you see in the press is real. Nothing. Lazy Gamer says, about to be confrontation of some kind in Chicago. YouTube for the first thing in L.A. Type Chicago in YouTube for the first thing in L.A. I'm not sure what that's. It's not even night yet in Chicago. No, it's going to be terrible. It's going to be horrifying. This is going to be terrible. They're blocking the firefighters, attacking the, well, that sounds like Minneapolis. They were making it impossible for the Minneapolis Fire Department to even get through. They had to let all those buildings burn to the ground. Fubbits, protesters messing with first responders are indeed terrorists. Anytime they get into what the violence they've been doing, that for some reason the press will not call out, is looting, arson, assault with a deadly weapon, robbery, armed robbery, and attempted murder of innocents. That's what I've been seeing. That's what my friend who is in Minneapolis has been telling me. These are terrorists by the absolute dictionary definition. Terrorism, the use of violence and threats to intimidate or coerce, especially for political purposes. These are terrorists. The ones that are being totally, peaceful, good on them. I'm all for peaceful protests. I'm big on Martin Luther King, man. But when you do all of that stuff and the press starts calling them peaceful protesters, which is what they did, you know that you're dealing with a lying press who is in favor of this. Let's see. These are huge buildings in Chicago. Fire will spread and be huge. Conceivably, yes. Let me see if I can figure out exactly where they are from watching this. Oh, man, black smoke? That's not good. In St. Paul 2 days ago, they set a tire place on fire, a discount tire place, toxic fumes. Oh, and they also set an apartment building on fire, and they set residential buildings on fire, and they set 2 targets on fire. But these are peaceful protesters. What have they got burning down there that is, and now you've gone and spinning on me. Please come back. Let me stop you. Restart you, and it's not spinning. It's just that this person has probably very low bandwidth coming off of their camera. Well, let's see if it spins and fixes itself. Looks like Clark Street. I can't see the street signs there very well, but it looked like Clark Street pointing toward Trump Tower. As I mentioned, Chicago, they have a little bit of an advantage because the Chicago River, bisects the really, high-end stuff and the business districts and stuff like that. So all they need to do to stop them on one side is to just raise the bridges, which I believe that they have already done. Fuppet says, you don't get it. We're not fans of the press. We are fans of the ideal of what the press is supposed to be, just as they're ideals to what is America. We'll lift up the good and criticize the bull. I guess I don't know who you are, Fuppets, so I don't get where you're coming from in terms of not being fans of the press. But there is no story that you can give me that within 30 minutes I cannot prove is either didn't happen the way it was reported, or when stripped of a slick interface, complete filler, emotionally loaded language and opinion. The facts devolve to a couple of paragraphs. The rest of it, pure sensationalism and lying. It's only the reason in 20 years the media journalism is messed up industry only getting worse and worse and worse. No! It's always been like this. Watch that film I gave you and remember that the behavior of the reporters and everything they're doing is consistent with what was going on in journalism in 1931. Just watch it. Adjust for modern technology. Instead of having phones that they're using, imagine that they had, smartphones instead. Nothing's changed. The press has never been trustworthy. Not ever. It doesn't matter how far back you go. It doesn't matter whether you think that it was, around the 70s when it all went to hell. No. They have never been trustworthy. Not ever. If you get your news from the press, you're getting a skewed point of view. And when they go on about Trump, they're giving you nothing but a skewed point of view because they're incredibly leftist and they hate his guts. They have decided to try to bring him down the same way that they brought down Nixon. At least Nixon sort of deserved to be brought down. Trump, they haven't been able to find anything on him yet, and they're not going to, because he hasn't done anything that rises to any level of, malfeasance in office. He very well may be a complete a-hole outside of office, but in office, you have to judge what he does, what his policies are. As I say, I think he's a womanizer. I think that as soon as he's out of office, he's going to marry up to a newer model than Melania. I think it's weird the way that he touches his daughter sometimes. And I'm sure that if I met him in person, the guy is richer, he's got more money than God. He's able to do things that I can't even imagine being able to do just because he's got more money than God. I'll tell you a little secret about when he was talking about grabbing women by the, here's the deal, right? Really rich men must push women away all day long. All day long. I know because the only time that I had, what's going on in Chicago? They're running away from an L station. But when Trump says that he grabs women by the genitalia, it wasn't against their will. They wanted his attention because they wanted a piece of his cash. That's how really wealthy men have to deal. I know I had some money for a while, not a ton, but I was well paid, and as a consequence, I was fighting off things like the secretaries and receptionists that worked at companies that I would go be consulting for, because they'd see me walk in the door and go, cha-ching! And I'm quite certain that if I had taken them and said, hey, let me touch you, they would have let me, because they want to get a piece of that money. Same thing with Trump. He's got to fight off women all day long. So when he was talking about that, it sounded kind of piggish, absolutely. But you know what? You throw women at me all day long, I'm going to succumb eventually. I am by no means a perfect human being. Doodoo Horn says, I hope their fire systems are up to date, sprinklers and such. It didn't matter when they torched they made Minneapolis look like Beirut. It didn't matter. I think one of the buildings may have been put out initially. I believe it was an auto parts store that had been put out initially, but then the terrorists just started doing it again. Let's see. There's a reason 20 years in media journalism is messed up industry, only getting, well, I said that. There were inside a coffee shop or something, busting it up, a lot of wood. Thank you for noticing that. Phelps said, you're literally throwing down the gauntlet that all news, all press is lies and sensationalism. Yes, I am. Nothing, I mean this literally, it scrolls past in my lower third in every single episode. Nothing you see in the press is real. Nothing. It either didn't happen as reported, or when you strip away all the nonsense, it's only a couple of paragraphs worth of facts. At best. I've had ones where I ripped them apart. There were only 2 sentences of facts. Nothing you see in the press is real. Nothing. Burning cars in Seattle. Okay, I'll see if I can find that. Actually, oh God, I'm gonna shut down. I've been out for 3 hours here, so I'm gonna shut down and come back. Fubbits, no, the news has eroded in demonstrable ways beyond its forever faults since the 1970s. No, it hasn't. No, it hasn't. I was alive. I saw it back then. It's the same. It's exactly the fracking same. We teach now, so we know better than to think the comment section is a practical place to spar with you. Well, that's fine. Email me, SYLRanch at SYLRanch TV, or go to SYL Ranch TV and use my contact form. I'm happy to debate you the live long day on this. You have not spent 30 years honing your skills of research to know that nothing you see in the press is real. Nothing. They do not print factual articles. Looks like Seattle crowd is going to give up. Yay. You're right, Cowie. I'm done with Bill and his wide brushes tonight. Find me a factual thing that I can't debunk. Find me one. 30 years. 30 years. 30 years. I have been debunking these. I can do it in 30 minutes. Any copy, any news source, doesn't matter. Nothing you see in the press is real. Nothing. Okay, I have been at this for 3 hours. I have arthritis in my lower back. I've actually got, what time is it? I've got some medications I need to take because I got the diabetes. So I would say that this is Tales from SYL Ranch, where everyone is entitled to my opinion. And at that, I will leave you with some cake. Because at Tales from SYL Ranch, we do what we must because we can for the good of us all, except for the ones who are dead. But there's no sense crying over every mistake. You just keep on trying till you run out of cake. And the science gets done and you make a neat gun for the people who are still alive. And that, if I can get over to my correct thing here, that is all that I've got to say about that. I'd love to keep the conversation going. So please leave your comments, questions, and nasty remarks. I'll be happy to respond to as many people as I can. One last thing. I encourage people, and it is scrolling past my lower third from some time to time, please donate to the Amanda Smith Rehabilitation Fund. I have sat now through 20 episodes of Batwoman, the modern-day Plan 9 from outer space. Not only are they so incompetent that they sent Ruby Rose to the hospital for emergency surgery to prevent her being paralyzed, their incompetence also caused one of the production assistants, Amanda Smith, to become paralyzed. She is now paralyzed from the waist down, and no one who is responsible for this mess is actually paying dime one for her. So she needs this money on a GoFundMe. So please donate to gofundme.com/f/Amanda-Smith-rehabilitation-fund. So that is all the time we have today. This, in fact, is Tales from SYL Ranch, where everyone is entitled to my opinion. And I'm Bill Stone.
Ultimate power in this world has always been one simple thing: the control and manipulation of minds.